Hello there.
Hello, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Friday Night Cantina Social Hour. How is it going, everybody? Good to see you. Good to be here in the Cantina once again. Another Friday night, another night in the Cantina. How's it going, guys? Awesome. Sorry for the delay. That was my fault. We had some tech issues and stuff happening in the background. I think we're squared away now. And it's good to be here with each and every one of you. Once again, this is the first stream of October. And I'm super stoked. How you guys doing? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. It was a hair day. It was a salon day, and we're heading into the weekend, right? It feels great. Spooky season, my favorite time of year. So we're going to talk to our guests in just a little bit here, but it is good to see everybody that is joining. So let me see who's in the house, and then we'll go over some of the topics that we're going to cover tonight before I bring in tonight's panel. Awesome. So let's see who we got with us tonight. Dodgson is always first in the house. How's it going, Dodgson? Good to see you. Another fantastic Sashar. I hope so. I hope I don't scare anybody off. We got Adam in the house. How's it going, Adam? Good to see you as always. Adam is holding the fort down here. He is making sure that everything in the chat is running smoothly. Thank you for what you're doing, Adam. We appreciate that very much. Let's see here. We've got Paul's with us. Hey, Paul. Good to see you. How's it going, Paul? Hope you're doing well. We got Rick in the house. Rick, how's it going? I need to get you back on social hour one of these days. Hope you're doing good. Thank you for tuning in. William's in the house. Hey, William. What's up? How's it going? Thank you for being here tonight. Jeff Russell's with us. Hey, Jeff. We got Britt in Toyland. Hey, Britt. How's it going? Good to see you as always. As always. We got Chad Peak with us. How's it going, Peak Obi-Wan? Good to see you back in the Cantina. We need to get you back on the show as well sometime. Mary, how's it going, Mary? Good to see you as always. Thank you for being with us tonight. Let's see here. Nice little crowd forming tonight in the Cantina thus far. Dave, good to see you. Hello there indeed. Troy, getting closer to the release of The Ghost, Ewing, and many others. Excited. Absolutely. There's so much coming. I don't know if I'm ready. I mean, I am, but my collection room's not ready. I can tell you that. Deep Space Niner, how's it going? Good to see you. Hello. Freed Collect, how are you doing? Awesome. We're the horses are off to the races. Is that the saying? I always forget what the stupid saying is. Something like that, right? We're off to the races. But it's great to be here, and it's great to see you guys hanging out. Bob, how's it going? Good to see you, Bob. All right. So, my friends, tonight we got some news to cover. The latest toy news, as you saw on the banner. We got some brand new stuff. Before I get into the topics for tonight, I do want to make a couple announcements. So firstly, Cantina Chatter podcast is returning. It's been on hiatus for a little bit. It is coming back next week. So there's going to be a brand new episode of Cantina Chatter podcast. And I'm excited to launch that. We did a little bit of rebranding, did some remixing of the music. And I'm stoked to get that back up because we haven't had our Cantina Chatter for a little bit here. And I've missed that show. But that's not it, because this week I did also collect. I recorded an episode of the Vintage Collection podcast, and that's going to be published as well, probably towards the later part of next week. Got to do all the editing and all that. So that will be on. If you're a TVC person, then TVC podcast, brand new episode coming later next week. In addition to that, Last Figure Standing is doing a live stream on this Sunday. It's on the Bosk's Bounty YouTube channel. And I'm not going to be on it this time. I will be on again in the future. I was on the last one. But that is going on. It is at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And I think 10 p.m. like London time, I think is what it said, something like that. So depending on where you are, maybe a different time for it. It is going to be a different time for it, but you're right. Definitely be sure you're tuning in to Last Figure Standing. They're going to announce the top 12 selections as decided upon by the TVC collecting community. And there are 12 this time. As I told you last time, Chris from Bantha School says that there's going to be 12 instead of 10 because some of the votes were just too close to each other. So that is going to be happening on Sunday. So set your alarms, be ready, because that's going to be going on. I will be tuning in for sure to see what things are looking like. So yeah, that's what's coming. As far as tonight's show, you guys, so our topics, we're going to talk about brand new releases, announcements from some companies like Playmates. We got some stuff from Blitzway, an update on Jazz Inc., some Hot Toys. There's actually not really any Hasbro news tonight. It's been a very quiet week for Hasbro. But then a couple other odds and ends for Star Wars that we will get into. And then, of course, we're going to end, as always, with new acquisitions, which, when it's something brand new being added to our collections, I want to talk about it, and I'm sure our panelists want to talk about it too. So, as always, at that point, if you want to share your acquisitions with us too, by all means, simply tune in and write on the chat what it is you've added to your collection this week. All right, so I have two panelists joining us tonight, as you saw on the thumbnail. So let me go ahead and get things started here, and we will bring them right in. Let's go ahead and get things started.
Now this is pod racing.
All right, returning to Cantina Social Hour, I think for the third time, we have the one and only Ken Plume. Hey Ken, how's it going?
Hey there, one and only, which is good.
One and
need
only.
More than that.
We don't need more than that, right? And I mean, if you have more than one of any given person, then it's too much. I know I wouldn't want any more than one of myself, because
there's not enough display space for a duplicate.
Yeah, no, definitely not, unless it's one to keep carded and one to have loose.
Nope. You got to open it up. You got to have fun.
You got to have fun. All right, and then making his Cantina Social Hour debut, we got Toy Binging, Derek from Toy Binging with us tonight. Derek, how's it going? How you doing, Derek?
Is he muted? I can't hear.
Possibly. We're live though, like I always say, anything can happen when you're live. Yeah. Anything can and does happen when you are live. There we go. He's working now. Hey, Derek.
Okay. Hi there. Hi, everybody. I had to put my AirPods on that I'm not used to.
No worries. So anytime we have a guest for the first time on Social Hour, I like to kind of introduce them and hear a little bit about yourself and your collecting and what it is you do. You actually have a really cool job, Derek. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your collecting.
Cool. Well, I've been collecting since, I guess, the 90s. I would call that the golden age of collecting. I mean, we were all collecting in the 80s, right? In the 90s when we were kids. But collecting as how we perceive it now in the modern terms, when they're targeting adults, that really didn't happen until the 90s, when it kind of went from that extreme kind of like crazy 90s toys. They had like Extreme G.I. Joe, and they had the Sharks, and they had all those kind of buffed out Star Wars figures. And then something happened along the way where McFarlane had kind of found the collector's market, and he knew how to kind of take the experience he had from comic books, like putting variant covers and all that, and apply that to action figure collecting. And then with the hyper realistic sculpts and all that, just this new wave of collecting for a modern collector happened. And I was kind of right there at that time. I mean, it was kind of like the Wild Wild West. I mean, you can buy yak faces for like $50 back then. It was insane. Like, people talk about wanting to go back in time just to collect at like 80s prices. I'll be happy to collect at 90s prices. I mean, those prices are pretty fantastic. But that's pretty much when I got a lot of this stuff. I think I might have said this once before. I've got kind of like some 90s stuff here, and then I have some Power of the Force 2 stuff down there. Some Power of the Force over here too. Nice. There's like a little. There he is. Yeah.
Death Star Gunner. Yep.
And there's some Ewoks, and there's an A-Wing pilot. They're kind of all over the place. But I have no hate for Power of the Force 2. I absolutely love that line. I if it wasn't for that line cementing what became now everything that came after Power of the Jedi, Saga, 30th, Legacy Collection, up until the modern TVC. I mean, we wouldn't have anything that we have now if it wasn't for that, because that kind of laid the groundwork as far as collectors and getting a good base of collectors in who kind of stuck with it over the decades, which is why we kind of came to a culmination of that with the Cantina.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those of you who've been collecting for a long time, you guys can reap the benefits of that and have a place for your Cantina denizens. But
Yeah.
I've been collecting since the '90s, and I kind of stopped for a while. I guess sometime around mid 2000s, kind of like after Star Wars Episode 3 came out, and somewhere around the Clone Wars. And I stopped for a good long time. I really didn't start collecting again until recently, like in the last 3 or 4 years. I know a lot of people said that about the pandemic, but that's kind of what got me into it. I got all my stuff out of storage where it was sitting for like 10 years, and then I kind of put this whole room in here, and I kicked myself out of my room, and I'm out in another room now, but this is kind of devoted to everything because I don't want it to sit in a storage unit. I'd rather enjoy it. So
Sure.
that's where my journey as a collector came.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, the 90s, like that was like the time, like when Star Wars came back for the first time in 10 years in 1995 and was on toy shelves again. And I have a lot of personal, memories of that era. And
Oh,
yeah, I love what you said about the HasLab Cantina, how like that kind of ties everything up, brings it full circle. And I think a lot of newer collectors have kind of not really had sight of that per se, because I know there's some folks in the community that weren't a fan of this particular HasLab and have said that it's the worst thing ever, and they should have gone with the Marauder from the Bad Batch, and I'm sure that'd be great too. But there's as people that have been collecting for a long time, like we really needed that Cantina to kind of tie that aspect of our collecting journeys up, and it was very essential and very important, very critical, and it has some incredible figures that we would not have been able to have gotten any other way. So thank you for explaining that. And yeah, tell us a little bit, Derek, about what you do outside of collecting, because like I said, you have a really cool thing that you do.
Well, I have two jobs. One of them One of them is kind of like a job where I don't really talk about, but I have another job where I work. Well, I work I work on site at the Disneyland Resort, um, so I'm able to go in there quite a bit, and I try to shop for toys as much as I can. Um, it it well, okay. There's a few people I have to kind of watch, how I talk about um, of that. I enjoy working for the resort, and of course, anything I say doesn't reflect Disney at all. Um, but I work I work at I work in California Adventure, and I I spend a lot of time going into the park. I absolutely love going into Galaxy's Edge, and I had a chance to work over there, like to kind of cross train a little bit, but I didn't want to do it because I didn't want it to get ruined for me. Because when you work there, you kind of see everywhere. You see the backstage, you see onstage. There isn't a square foot of that place that most people who work there hasn't seen. But I don't want that to be the case with Galaxy's Edge. I want that to have the same wide-eye wonderment that I had when I first went there. Like all my life, I've been waiting to see a big Star Wars area where I can just walk around and get immersed by it and get caught up in the feeling of Star Wars. And I absolutely do not want to see what it looks like backstage. I don't want to know what the bathrooms look like. I don't want to know water fountains, nothing. I don't want to know any of that. I just would rather keep I'd rather keep that kind of, I'd rather keep the magic is what they
Sure.
say. But that's what I do. If people can find me, then come say hi. I'm usually running around the park or I'm at my location. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to do more inside the park to kind of shoot some videos and maybe do a little bit of toy hunting. Although it's a little dry. There's not as much toys there as people think. Excuse me,
Right.
kind of back in a couple years ago, you could find some TVC figures. There was a couple spots you could find them at Star Traders. You could find them right on Main Street in the Emporium, kind of like right at the end near one of the restaurants where the bathroom in the restaurant, where the end of the Emporium is. And there's a few locations. There isn't even a lot of TVC figures in Galaxy's Edge. There's Black Series all over the place. There's a lot of
Yeah.
Black Series. I mean, but that's everywhere. I mean, Black
Yeah.
Series is, I mean, that's everywhere.
True. Yeah, I did see some last time at Star Trader, like a few TVC, but it was like the latest wave with like Soul and
Go.
but that was it. But yeah, no, that's cool. And I you mentioned I haven't told you this yet, Derek, but I did have a little connection with I used to work in Orange County, and I did have a hand in when they redid the Matterhorn bobsleds back in like 2010.
Oh, nice.
The company I worked for partnered up with Disney, and I was like selected as one of the people to kind of as a go-between and select some parts that were used for the bobsleds. So some parts that are still, as far as I know, that are still on there today since 2010 to now are parts that I personally selected to be used on those vehicles. So that's kind of cool. Every
Nice.
time I go, I think about that.
That's awesome. Is there a basketball court on the top that's been there since the 70s or something?
A half court, yes.
That's amazing. It wasn't just a rumor.
No, there's a half court up there. And Ken also has a bit of a connection with Disney too. Isn't that correct?
A few connections here and there, including the Art of DuckTales book for the
nice.
2017 series that I did with the cast and crew, the production team behind that came out year before last. Oh gosh, time flies. Maybe it was year before last. I think it was. But yeah, that's out now. There's big, nice deluxe edition from Dark Horse Books that is out. And I also did the Art of Venture Brothers book that came out a few years ago as well. And then various and sundry other things. But yeah, the Art of DuckTales book, which I'm pushing now again for the holiday season. And hopefully people will pick that up. Or just check out the show, because it's a great show. It's one of those nice returns to a franchise and reimaginings that actually work quite well. And it's fun and funny, and people can find it. And I don't get paid to say any of this. So
who does?
I know it's sincere.
DuckTales is definitely in the hearts of a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I was just singing it. I was singing the theme song on stage with a couple of friends. We were just kind of bored. We were like looking at our work, our tables and stuff, and we were just singing DuckTales.
As well you should. Makes the day fly by.
And sometimes, in my location, it's a restaurant. Whenever the cooks are done in the kitchen, they blast the music, and we just want to take over the Bluetooth speaker and like throw some 90s TV theme songs on there. DuckTales will definitely be one of them.
Well,
Nice.
Fingers crossed that you get that chance to take over their sound system and make that dream happen.
Yep. And Derek, I met you at Comic-Con. Like, you came up to me after I did my Q&A with Hasbro that day, and we had a really fun conversation about collecting and stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah. I collect I think almost the same stuff that you do. I like Jurassic Park because it's dinosaurs, and I like big monsters in my collection. I even have the preschool dinosaurs. I kind of have this idea of like converting one of them into the Masters of the Universe, the Stegosaurus and that Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
Because that Play School line kind of has a cartoony look that kind of matches with the Multi Origins. I don't know, it's like, but dinosaurs are fun. We were talking about a lot of different toy lines. Batman 89, I was there. Batman 89, I remember all that, and it was insane. Like, it was probably comparable to how popular Star Wars was in the early 80s, like right around Empire Strikes Back. I remember kids in the schoolyards like talking spoilers, saying Darth Vader. But the Batman 89 fever, that was comparable to like Star Wars fever. And
that's cool. I don't remember that because I was really little, but I remember seeing it in the theater. I don't know how I ended up in the theater. I was probably like in pre-K, but I was there and I did see it, and I was terrified of the Joker. But Yeah, good
But that
memories.
Batman fever was more of a merch fever than a toy fever because the toy line was not terribly deep.
Oh, the toy line
As
was
you well know,
horrible.
Victoria, it was not a
Yeah.
deep toy line. It's not Star Wars comparable as far as the amount of
Oh
toys
my God.
released.
Right.
Toy Biz didn't know what they had. They didn't know how to make anything. How to tap into that popularity. They're just, let's throw some toys out there. Let's make it look like superpowers. That was
It
it.
was a weird time for the toy industry anyway at that point. And there hadn't been a lot of toyetic franchises coming out of films
Yeah.
in the same way that Star Wars did. So
it was more TV, I think, at that time, right? Like Ninja Turtles, Real Ghostbusters, things like that.
yeah, I mean the Ninja Turtle aisle was basically what Star Wars was at its height. I mean, and they were Playmates was really good about a ridiculous amount of variations on those characters.
Yeah. Right on. So I see some new guests joining in. Hello, Lorena. Good to see you. Thank you for coming into the Cantina. Dave, how's it going? Good to see you. Very nice. Great. Toying around. How's it going? Good to see you. Marcus, how's it going? Good to see you. Laser Pants. How's it going, Ryan? Good to see you in the Cantina.
Laser Pants. What's up, man?
Alcin, how's it going? Good to see you. Trevor, what's up? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. He says he was watching a cheesy 80s horror movie, but he's here now. Sounds great to me. That sounds like a great Friday night. But now you're watching Cantina Social Hour, so what's wrong with you? No, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Grant's Galaxy, how's it going? Good to see you. Return of the Jedi, how's it going? Zigma, how are you doing? Good to see you. Cool. Your cousin Derek?
Yeah, he's a streamer on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to be very confused. I was like, I don't not have a cousin here. This is very weird.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we are off to a great start here. So once again, if you're just tuning in, this is Cantina Social Hour Friday night. If you're so inclined, you may hit the like button if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. If it's not too much work. But no, thank you, Ken. Thank you, Derek, for being here with us. So we have some topics to cover tonight, some toy topics. And speaking of Ninja Turtles, we're going to start right there because there is something brand new that was announced this week.
I'm shocked. Really? New
Turtle
right? Stuff.
I know. It's, yeah. Anyway, so this game that's been out for a bit. Oops, let's close this ad because we don't need that ad right there. There we go. Shredder's Revenge is the name of the game. And they're reissuing it. I think this is like the second reissue of the game. But now it's coming with Playmates' original Turtles, but they're repainted to match the game. And unfortunately, they haven't really released any like great images of this set. So like this is kind of the best look we have of it. But yeah, basically it's just the same old Playmates Turtles that have been around since the 1980s. Just repainted to match their appearances in this game. Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally picking these up. I do dabble with Ninja Turtles still, but it's with everything else to collect, that's kind of not like one of my focuses anymore. But still, I mean, it is cool to see. I think nonetheless that these sculpts, these molds, are still being utilized like this all these years later. It's pretty wild, actually.
So then what pulls you into a Ninja Turtles purchase at this point? What is the thing that gets you to go ahead and buy a new set?
Well, I'm really into the like Playmates when they do their reissues, when they bring back the old ones, like kind of like this, but not quite this. More like when they resurrect like Mondo Lizard or Ray Fillet or one of those old figures that they bring back that I haven't had since back then.
So this is a straight reissue.
Yeah, reissues that are the actual like Playmates, like original like reissues. I was doing Super 7 for a while, but the line got too big, and there were some issues with the line, so I've been very more selective with it. I've still picked a few up here and there in recent years, but nothing this year, I don't think. And that's kind of it. I was doing the NECA stuff very early on, but quite infamously, there was a bit of a thing with me and NECA, so I basically stopped collecting that line. But that's basically it. Like I'll still pick up the Playmate stuff when they resurrect these 40-year-old sculpts. to re-release them through Target or Walmart or online. But that's kind of the extent of it these days.
Yeah, how long did this tooling last at Playmates? I heard the TVC tooling lasts like 10 years. I mean, Playmates figures have been around for, gosh,
Well,
like decades at this point.
it's complicated. So it really depends. I mean, it depends on a few factors. Companies like Mattel, they operate their own factories overseas, and they are able to inventory like their tooling. But companies
Oh,
like Hasbro, they don't operate their own factories. They rely on a factory that they'll make a contract with, and they'll schedule production of different things, and then those companies are responsible. Those factories are responsible for those for the tooling. They're supposed to keep it on hand for a period of time. I don't know how that works out exactly, like what the period of time is. But that doesn't always work out, because these manufacturers, these that are making these figures with these tools, are responsible not just for Hasbro, but they may be responsible for other companies, and not even just doing toys, but doing all kinds of things. So things get lost over time. Specific to these Playmates turtles, I do not know if they are the exact 100% original 1980s like molds that they're still using, or if they had to create new molds based off of the sculpts that still exist of those 40-year-old turtles. It's an interesting question, one that I'd like to look into now that I have my mind like thinking about it. But that's kind of the gist of it.
I heard Playmates owns their own factories too. Like they just don't subcontract it out to the companies that are out there, the manufacturing companies that are out there.
Then I
That
would be
is
inclined to
overseas.
think that they probably have track of the if that's been the case since for all these years, then I'd assume they still have the original molds.
And also,
Except,
those Kenner molds would have went through an acquisition by Hasbro as well. So some of that stuff could have been lost in the shuffle or damaged in the shuffle.
Right. And they also don't last forever. Like you can't make like, you can't just use it forever. They wear out, right? So they have to like redo them in some cases if they're going to keep using the figures like over and over and over and over for years on end. So
I really do wish that as much as they have hyped it up as a technology use, I don't think the scanning technology did the retro releases a kindness in their fidelity, since a lot of the issues that the softness on those sculpts and a lot of the weird fitting on those pieces have come from issues introduced with that scanning technology. Yeah. So I wouldn't even be surprised if some of these other reissues that we're seeing of classic stuff is just straight up resculpted, but with as high a fidelity. But that means you also get that really nice in-depth detail on a lot of that sculpt that's just missing in the retro collection. So I kind of wish they would move away from that scanning or reissue them without doing that, and just go ahead and clean those things up. Because we did get that, you have it, I'm sure, Victoria, that retro collection that they released in the mid-90s of the original Kenner figures, the Star Wars figures. The 4-pack. Yeah. And those look great. I mean, those are basically look like they're right off the shelf from the original releases.
It was so close to the 80s, they could have used the original tooling. Who knows?
But it's also, when you have that as an example, and other companies who were able to get a better fidelity on their re-releases, you know, it feels like maybe that there were also some sold on a great technology, also cost considerations that went into some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories too that like some of the vintage like Kenner molds went off to be used by like as boat anchors, like you know, for different like workers that would take them. And
we're just on eBay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I mean it you know, it varies by company. But the question here from Bob: did Hasbro lose the Legacy Collection sculpt? So I actually asked him this at Comic-Con. No, I think it was a Star Wars Celebration a couple years back if they still had those. And according to Chris Reif from Hasbro, he said that yes, they do still have them, but there's still speculation as to whether or not that's 100% the case. I know they just re-released HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. But there hasn't really been anything else. So it's like, do they really, or, do they have some of them, or I don't think anybody really knows 100%. You'd have to like physically like go over there and verify probably. Which I know Chris does go overseas, like to not necessarily to inventory their tooling libraries, but to just kind of check on the progress of different things. So
well, I'd love to know where that new production on the stuff that hits that Tungori site is coming from. So somebody's using those molds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because years ago they used to say that those were just like leftovers that were like maybe not 100% up to par. They were like 90% up to par, so they put them aside, and Tungori somehow got a hold of them. But he's still in business after all these years. So
now we're doing 20-year-old figures that are still hitting. You're kind of moved beyond the leftover phase.
Yeah,
he was making repeats of some of those figures. What would you call them? Tungori waves, But he's been
rerunning. Yeah, there've been new drops of sold out figures.
Plagueis from him, and it was a perfect Plagueis. I mean, the cape, everything was just perfect. It was right off the factory line. It even had if I'm not mistaken, it had the numbers on the feet and on the inner thigh. It was down to that. So probably, I mean, what are you going to do? Well, thousands of miles away. So
that Ula from the Walmart set hit, and that Hutslayer Leia, both versions. So she's coming with her accessories as well from the deleted scene version and from the standalone.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that's great.
Usually, if I buy from Tungori, it's very rare that I do. But when I do, it's usually because I've lost an accessory, and like he usually has the accessories with the figures. So if I buy it, then I can just get like a replacement weapon for whatever figure it is.
And I know some people use him as a potential sign that a reissue is coming. That, if it's showing back up here, then the factories have cranked up and are. I think that was the speculation when that Ninum hit again last year from them.
I wonder if anybody has any of the big ships, like a barge or something.
Yes.
Not that we've seen yet, but who knows?
Yeah, but killing if he did.
It were leftovers. There were just some leftovers on the side. There's a couple of them left if you get them before they're gone.
Yeah. How's it going, Jamie? Happy Friday. Yeah, no, it's interesting to think about, but all right, so let's see. Blitzway. I don't know if either of you guys do 1/6 scale.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
A little bit.
Not to the extent that you do, Victoria, but yes, I do. Too much.
Right on.
Not too much. I'm very selective about the Black Series because I roll build mostly, and I just can't fit them. I started to when episode 7 came out, and that big TIE fighter sat there staring at me, on the target aisle for like, what was it, 239 or something at the time. And I thought, okay, maybe they're going to make these big vehicles, but no, not anymore. And that was kind of it. I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because I would not want to recollect everything all over again. It's kind of like going from, at the time I compared it to like VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. I'm like, all right, I got to buy the same damn collection all over again. But eventually I just stopped with the Black Series and just stuck with what I loved, and stuck with what I had in storage, which was my legacy scale, the 3 3/4.
Right on. Well, if you decide you need any, I'm probably going to be unloading like a lot of the ones that I collected over the years, because I just, same thing. I can't like be buying every scale. But anyway, Blitzway is doing 2.0 versions of their 1/6 scale, their 12-inch Ghostbusters figures, which it sounds like this is a good move. The ones that they had done previously, the originals, have been selling as a set, from what I've been told, close to around $3,000 on eBay for the complete set, which is just outrageous.
Was that 2019 when those were released?
2017.
2017. I remember seeing them at a San Diego Comic-Con around that time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. But yeah, no. So these are they're essentially the same figures, but they all have brand new head sculpts, and they look better from what I've seen. I didn't do the original releases because the head sculpts to me just didn't look like that great. These look a lot better. I don't know that I would say that they're quite like Hot Toys or In Art or Jazz Ink or anything like that, but they're certainly a cut above what the original ones were. And like with the turtles, we don't really have many images. These were just shown at an event. So they haven't actually like published through any official means yet, like the like actual promo photos yet. But probably not going to pick them up because you can't collect everything. But it is really cool to see these back because I know a lot of folks were hoping for reissues of these. And yeah, I mean it's a classic Ghostbusters and their original film uniforms. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, it really doesn't get any better than probably this particular re-release.
But what's going to go in the 6-scale Ectomobile that you bought then?
There's that I don't have. That I don't have. But
you have room for it, right?
No. That's a question I always ask later, though. I buy now, find room later, because it's never going to be as cheap as it is when it's at retail price. It's never.
How do you have the Hot Toys Batmobile, right? The '89 Batmobile. You have that as well.
Yeah, I just got that a month or two ago.
So where do you have that displayed right now?
It's not on display. It's in storage. Yeah, there's no way I can display that. But one day it's like kind of like a squirrel, like putting its nuts away for the winter. It's one day there will be a space to appreciate such an epic piece. I did open it up to look at it because I had to see it, but to lay eyes on it at least once. But yeah.
Did you ever see that
open that
Batwing?
museum for me?
The museum, yes. When the museum eventually happens.
They look like studio pieces. I saw the Batwing. I think it was incredible.
Yeah, lots of great stuff.
You certainly get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But the price is ridiculous. So
I mean, yeah, at least it's not as much as like the Jazz Inc. like Batmobile. That one's like pushing $2,000.
But that's got so much electronics in it.
It's amazing. It's probably one of the greatest things ever made as far as like toy.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to call it a toy as far as like toys go.
So if you could get one Ghostbuster, is there one you would pick?
Good question. Well, when I was a kid, for the real Ghostbusters, TV series, I always liked Egon. I don't really know why. But when it comes to the movies, like I think you can't do better than Peter. Like he's just very clearly like the best. So I think that's what I would do if I was just getting one. But you can't just have one, right? It's like having like one Ninja Turtle, but not the rest.
Derek, do you have a choice?
Egon was my favorite. I had an Egon figure and a Peter figure, and for the real Ghostbusters growing up. I
I'm
wish
a big
they
Harold
did.
Ramis fan.
Oh yeah.
Also, big Dan Aykroyd fan, and there's nothing like having a figure with a dangling cigarette on your shelf to wonder when you're going to lose that. I hope that is firmly in place on that and not a separate. Maybe there's a separate head sculpt that's just with dangling cigarette. Did they say if the bodies are the same? Did they change any of the costuming or updated any of that, or it's just the head sculpts?
Let's take a look. We have the page up. This is from Ghostbusters News, which the site that I follow for Ghostbusters collectibles. According to what it says here,
I didn't know Batman was a Ghostbuster.
I know, I love ads, right? They're everywhere. Like you can't go to any like collecting website without seeing a ton of ads. I'm gonna use another word, a ton of ads.
It's a lot of accessories and heads.
Yeah, from what it says, it sounds like they may be the same. Okay, so it says here that these are prototypes, and that each features a slightly reworked head sculpt, which suggests that there may be further changes with the rest of the figures, but there's nothing confirmed quite yet. Nothing obvious other than the heads being different.
I don't know if I like being locked into just the screaming Venkman head sculpt, if that's the one you're going to get.
No, there's two. If you look at this picture, at the bottom, there's a regular.
Oh, I see him on. Okay.
Yeah. Same with Ray. He has just a neutral without the goggles, without the cigarette.
So I would assume the goggles is also attached to the head sculpt then.
I would think so. Possibly, maybe not. I don't know. I think Mary here in the chat sounds like she has some of the others, so maybe she knows. I need Winston, so I'll be picking him up to complete this set. Very nice, Mary. Hello, Stephen. How's it going? Good to see you. Mechanized, how's it going? Mechanized bought Hutslayer Leia from Tungori. Nice.
Keeps
hey,
popping back in stock, so if anyone needs it for their Jabba's Palace display,
cool.
Without any rhyme or reason, that stuff just pops back up on that site.
It's odd.
Did
Mary
Ula
says
come up?
goggles are not attached to the head sculpt.
Okay, so you can do the full goggles down.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay. Sorry, Derek, I cut you off.
Oh, Ula, did they ever re-release Ula? In the what was it? The Shadows, that Walmart exclusive with the Jabba?
Yeah, that was the big box that had the Rancor. That one.
Yeah, for some reason.
Oh,
I think
the Ula
Tungori
with
had
the.
it.
I know what you're talking about, the 2010 Jabba release. Yes, that's the Ula, but it's Ula without the outfit. Is what they have on the site, so it's very weird thing to be listing. But if anyone needs it, from what it looks, you can use the outfit that's on the Power of the Force release.
Okay.
If you want the articulation that's on that 2010 version. So there are options there, because I can't imagine them re-releasing that anytime soon.
See, I don't mind articulation or not. I don't mind. To me, sometimes over-articulating something kind of takes away from the sculpt, and I like that. A lot of these toys came from an era when they had real sculptors, real artists working on these things. They weren't just, and not disparaging 3D modelers, but they weren't just creating it in a computer and just applying a template of articulation onto it. I think that's what McFarlane did with the Halo 3 figures.
Well,
the exact.
I would never say that any of the artists at Hasbro are doing that. I mean, I think they're doing amazing things, and the head sculpts alone that they're doing now, when they really nail it, they do an excellent job on them. And that 2010, that Ula would have been pre-digital sculpting in the workflow. So no, it's really good. It is, and that Power of the Force was not a bad Power of the Force sculpt either.
No, it was great. Yeah.
Because when did that come out, Victoria? Was that like 99, 98? When that
Which one is that?
Salacious Crumb Power of the Force 2-pack
came out? The mail away? Yeah. That was like 98, somewhere in there, yeah.
So that was when they had started to really lean into the level of sculpting that would take us into episode 1. So which still has some really great sculpts in it for that era at that time.
Yeah, there's some really good ones in there. Power of the Jedi, like, yeah, that whole era, like, you can definitely see the evolution over those, just a short time span of a few years.
What's weird is some of their paint applications are better than what we're getting today when it comes to weathering.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the most noticeable in Black Series because, because they are larger, you can see like when the paint is just, there's like no weathering. There's no there's just no highlights or details. Like it's very obvious on.
Oh yeah. Well, you've seen this, right, Victoria, with the little customization I did in the Black Series, Anakin.
Here, let's see that larger.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's very nice.
Because that was a shame that they, that or just with the Huyang that they did, that was an odd choice. So went ahead and customized that as well.
Oh wow, that looks a lot better.
And that was just one of those little off-the-shelf chrome pens.
Wow.
And then a wash over that, did the whole thing, did the backpack.
That's really nice, Ken.
Thank you.
Great.
Well, shout out to Landspeeder Luke for leading the way, and Frederick's Figures on showing that, hey, maybe you can fix those figures if you're not happy with it the way it is.
Yeah, true that.
Don't be afraid. Although I am still terribly afraid of messing up my figures. Yeah, I'll show one last one before.
Yeah.
There's the Shin,
Oh, wow. That is
which,
a huge improvement.
if anyone wants to make it just even a little bit better, the two things, I just sliced up, chopped out chunks of the hairline. Let me see if I can see a little bit better. There you go. So it didn't have so much of that just wig look, and then just a wash on the hair. If you just want to do the simplest thing. And then, yeah, the eyes are a little bit.
Nice. It kind of looks like me on a Monday morning.
When the humidity is a bit higher.
Yeah.
Sorry. Brief show and tell.
No, I love it. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Sticking with 1/6 scale, we have an update. I know I was really like talking about this a lot, like in recent weeks. But Jazz Inc. has been developing this brand new 1/6 scale Catwoman figure, which just looks to be one of the most incredible things I've ever seen as far as the toy goes. So I'm 100% in on this. But it was supposed to pre-order on September 30th. They since came out and said it wasn't quite, the details weren't worked out completely for that to happen. So now it's going to be on October 17th.
Is that open-ended or is that a limited run?
Well, that's a good question. Jazz Inc. hasn't specified exactly how many they're doing. There isn't an edition size at this point. But he did say, Yost from Jazz Inc., who's it's his company, said that basically if you want this, as long as you order within the first like few days of it opening up, then you're going to get it. So it's not going to be like going to sideshow.com and trying to fight for like a limited edition hot toy. There's going to be quite a few.
You mean like that Anakin?
Like the Anakin, and like something I'll talk about that just happened yesterday in just a little bit here. But yeah, no, so there's a few versions of this. There's going to be the clean version, which is just her normal outfit without any damage. There's this version you see here in the picture, which is a little more battle damage, so to speak. And then there's the deluxe set that has both and also has that really awesome diorama base.
The hello there.
For apartment. Yeah, hello there. Or hell here, depending on, what
display option
you're watching. Yeah. But yeah, no, this is one of my favorite movies. It's a top 10 for me. It's my favorite Batman film, even though it's not necessarily the best Batman film. But that whole era, the Tim Burton like movies, not just like Beyond Batman, but like that whole era, like it's just like such a special like time for me. But
and it's a Christmas movie.
I watch it every Christmas.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, this is a must-have, and like I would like skip a bunch of other things just to make sure I'm able to get this. Like I have to have this piece.
Cool. They need to make a Max Shrek.
Is that under 400 for the deluxe?
Well, no. So the standard one, which is the one you see here, I think he had said in a live stream, and I apologize that I forget whose stream it was, that they're trying to target, I think, closer to like 300 or 350 for just the standalone versions. I think the deluxe is probably going to be closer to 1,000 when you consider it has the two figures and it has the base and everything. It's a big base. It's meant to fill up like a whole, like if you have a DTOF, like the whole, like a whole section inside of a DTOF. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to like 800 to 1,000 or so. Just guessing.
And it's got electronics, since it looks like that sign was light up.
Yeah, the sign is awesome. I don't have an image of it immediately, but it's if you're in the US, you can't order it directly because of licensing agreements with Warner Brothers and Sideshow having cornered the market of 1/6 scale in the US. You'll have to go through Spec Fiction, which is one of the retailers that they mentioned, which is probably the way I'm going to do it. But yeah, I'm excited. This is probably like going to be one of the coolest things to have for me personally. Mary asking, am I getting the battle damage version? I think I'm going to go deluxe, Mary. I think I got to have both. And I think I need that display. I need the diorama. I'm going to have to go both on this one.
Yeah, you can't not do that. You'll regret not getting that diorama.
Yeah.
But then you got to find an entire shelf for it.
Well, that's easy. I have 3 DTOFs with my hot toys in them, and then I have another DTOF unassembled in the garage. So I'll have a spacer. It's going to have to be on display. There's no way you can have this and not have it on display.
So who do you display with her then?
I mean, I don't know how the diorama is going to work out. Like, will there be room for other figures on there? If so, well, Batman Returns.
If it's the width of a D-top, if it's filling up a full D-top, it's still towards the background that it's filling up. So you should be able to place figures around her.
Yeah, if you can. Well, I have the Hot Toys Batman Returns figure I can throw in there with her. They're also doing a re-release through Hot Toys of that figure with some updates. So that would be a good one to put in there too. But yeah, hopefully they do.
No Max Shrek announced.
I don't think that's ever. I think Lego may have done him, but I don't think anyone else ever made a figure of Max Shrek.
What a shame.
Although them doing a nice 6-scale penguin with that kind of quality would be impressive.
It would be, and I think. Yeah, I know NECA did a quarter scale penguin. I never got that, but yeah, there needs to be a Danny DeVito penguin for sure.
Yeah, we just need the entire Danny DeVito 6-scale universe.
An army building penguins.
Yes. That'd be deluxe. Deluxe comes with all the penguins and various rockets.
I don't know why they haven't made a Max Shrek. McFarlane should at least do when he does the Batman Returns wave, he should definitely do a Max Shrek.
He should be the Build-A-Figure.
You're right. I can see it now. Hey, that's wonderful. I don't know. It's tremendous.
Don't walk on walking.
Walking, it's great.
I'll do the Fozzie Bear version. Waka walking.
Oh, waka waka, waka waka.
Sorry, Victoria. This is what it's devolved into. This is
Yeah.
It's all good. You never know what's going to happen on Social Hour. All right. So yes, October 17th. My calendar is marked. I will be there. Let's see. More 6 scale. So there was a lot of 6 scale stuff this week. Hot Toys. We're switch to Hot Toys now. All right. So they actually put up several items this week. The first one is just want to show Dr. Doom from Fantastic Four. This is based on his comic book appearance. Not something that I normally collect, but yeah, the images aren't all working. But it looks pretty cool. I know several people that watch do the Marvel Hot Toys. So yeah, it's not for me, but it is a very cool looking piece. I love the posable cape. I love the effects that he comes with. A very sizable display base, which, again, with display bases at this scale, like I prefer smaller bases, generally speaking, just because they already take up a lot of space. But what's nice about this is it looks like you don't have to have the whole thing assembled for the display base. You can just have the bottom, like in this picture here. And yeah, these are really tiny pictures. And he's
kind of surprised they didn't go with the throne.
I know, right?
It's the usual.
That's an RDJ head swap waiting to happen. Make them a Comic-Con exclusive.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah, somebody's out there's going to do it.
There's two versions here: collector edition for $280 or special edition also for $280. This one comes with a Darkhold.
Yeah, they got to reuse their Darkhold.
Yeah, so it's like, why wouldn't you go for the special edition?
I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, and a huge Doctor. I have a Doctor Doom sitting on my desk right now. The Marvel Legends. I'm not a fan of that. It's weird. He's one of those characters that you can go a myriad different ways on the mask, and it changes how it feels. And not a fan personally of the choice they made. He looks kind of forlorn. Like he looks sort of sad. It's a very sad look to the mask.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know how I feel about Puppy Doom.
Yeah,
he looks sad there.
So that's, even then, yeah. It also looks like he has a handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
There are very weird choices being made with his Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it's interesting because when they do the like the film based ones, right? They're usually, I mean, you know what to expect when they do the comic versions, they sometimes they make weird choices, even like with their Spider-Man figures or some of the X-Men that they've done that are just like comic based. They make some weird choices with them.
And sometimes they go for a particular artist look, and sometimes they
Yep.
try not to go for a particular artist look, and sometimes they just have a person on
Mhm.
staff who has their own vision for how a character should look and really wants to lean into that. Like I thought their comic version Iron Man that they did just recently was really good. Like they took a really iconic vintage version of Iron Man and did really well with it.
Yeah.
But the Doom, it's sad because I should love this. I should want this thing, and I just, you know, that thing where something doesn't meet what you hope it would be, so then you're just sad that now it exists in a form that's going to prevent other versions of it from coming out anytime soon. But I guess someone will do a custom sculpt. That's a
Oh yeah.
relatively easy
Oh
thing
yeah.
to do. Till then, I guess I'll just stick with the Marvel Legends Doom.
Marvel Legends one is solid.
Yeah, that's
Nice
the one
sculpt.
scale. If I do a 6-inch scale, it's Marvel Legends. But then again, it's just going to be like certain teams and certain characters. I don't go all out.
Yeah. So that's Doctor Doom. There was also a brand new Spider-Man 1/6 scale 12-inch put out, and that is based on the Amazing Spider-Man, which is very interesting because they just re-released earlier this year the one that they had released many years ago, and everybody was trying to get it, and it did sell out in most places. But now they just updated it again just a few short months later with an improved body, new sculpt, new head, and everything. And there's 4 versions of this. There's the collector edition for $290. There's a special edition for $290. There's the deluxe version for $340, and there's the deluxe version exclusive for $340. The only thing different between the collector edition and deluxe version to the special edition versions is you get an additional pair of interchangeable eyepieces and one external camera flash that you can clip onto his the camera that the figure comes with. So it's a very interesting, but he looks awesome. He really looks quite awesome. The last one they did had the head sculpt, but again, it was the head sculpt that dated back to many years. I picked up the last one. I haven't opened it or anything. I'm probably gonna have to let it go because this one looks better to me. And like I said, this is one of the frustrating things with Hot Toys is they'll do this every now and then. They'll release something and then they'll put out a 2.0 just a few short months later.
Now, is this a 2.0 of the? Because I thought the 2.0 we got was for Amazing Spider-Man 2, because it's the more traditional costume. Isn't this the first Andrew Garfield film?
This
version?
one here, this one, my head's to the side. Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, just Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think that's how they marketed the last one.
But I think that because I had this one, the original version of this. So this is from the first film that had the weird, that which came with the head sculpt, and then they did a 2.0 of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was the more traditional Spider-Man costume.
Yes, correct.
But then they included the head sculpt from that Amazing Spider-Man 1 release, which was exclusive to that. But then I thought that fell into that weird licensing morass that no one wants to talk about. What's going on with Andrew Garfield's likeness?
Yeah.
And when it comes to No Way Home and why everything has been branded Amazing Spider-Man in every release that we've gotten from that.
Yeah, there's definitely a licensing thing going on there. I have no insight into what it is.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I'm just curious if so. I'm wondering if this is just yet another repaint of that same head sculpt, because it doesn't seem like they have the ability to produce any new head sculpts of him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, it looks different. And this one does have the rolling eyeballs, which the last one doesn't have. So I don't know. It's a good question. I probably need to see them side by side. But Yeah.
I mean, certainly that original would have been released in what, 2016?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the comparison here of the two bodies. The new one they're pre-ordering, here's the one on the left, which is a little bit taller. And then the previous version is on the right. So I mean, yeah, it looks a little more proportionate, I would say. I mean, for most people, is that going to be worth the upgrade? I don't know, but
I mean, that thing was probably what, $100 cheaper in Hot Toys prices when that original version came out.
oh yeah, easily.
Oh, the days.
I know, it feels like so long ago now.
When 250 was like, well, that's a super deluxe DX version.
Yep. And almost every release was like 200 or 220, but now it's like, nope. Unless it's a trooper, the troopers still cost, somewhere around there. That's 220, 230, but like sculpted head characters never cost that anymore. But yeah, pretty cool. The deluxe version does come with an antenna base, so you can display them on the antenna. Again, when it comes
He had to push Luke off of it first.
I know. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So this is a retooled, I think, and repainted antenna that came with the deluxe Luke Bespin Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, you can see it. Okay.
I'm looking over at it right now, of the Luke version, over on my shelf, and yeah.
Yeah, this is right after Green Goblin told Spider-Man that he was his father. So makes perfect sense.
That's not true.
That's impossible.
All right, so we're not done yet. We are not done yet because there is another. Okay, so this was the big news this week. Hot Toys has been doing artisans for some time. Since last year. I think Anakin was the first one, even though, I'd kind of argue it was the Wonder Woman that they did before that, though. Yeah, so the artisan thing, it's supposed to be their premium version of a figure. I don't know that this is the case exactly with this figure. There's a lot of people that don't believe it's quite to the same level, but it did sell out. It is on wait list nonetheless, so doesn't really matter in the end because it all worked out for Sideshow. But I do want to talk about this for just a moment. So this was announced, I think, a little bit earlier in the week, maybe like Tuesday, something like that, and it said you could sign up per notification for when it went up for pre-order. And they did tell you, they were kind enough this time to tell us that it was going to be Thursday yesterday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, I like knowing the time because then you can kind of plan accordingly. But in that time period before it actually went up in those like 2 or so days, a lot of people were analyzing this online. And it does have like the wool implantation hair is what they call it on these artisan figures. It's made of wool. But the rest of the figure doesn't really like have anything like super extra in order to be classified by the textbook definition of an artisan release. I mean, she has some nice accessories. She's got a rocket launcher. She's got a spear or a pole kind of thing, handgun, a little bag of weapons. And then there's the sculpt itself. Like, some folks think the likeness is spot on, but a lot are saying that it needs some work still. And, thus doesn't really quite fit the premium format that is associated with artisan figures.
So what was the difference between the two Anakins besides that the rooted hair as opposed to the plastic hair sculpt that made
the
it?
Anakin is a very interesting case because there isn't a regular version that came out alongside it, like the Joker. When they released the Joker artisan version, the same day they put up a regular non-artisan Joker. But they didn't do that with Anakin. There was an Anakin already from years ago. But they didn't do like a regular Anakin alongside the artisan Anakin. So the artisan Anakin has the wool implantation hair. And it has a brand new head. It's not the same head that was on the old figure. But strangely, they haven't announced like another regular Anakin to go along with him. This was already a year ago since that first artisan figure.
But is there any other, like, is the outfit exactly the same? I mean, did they make any? So basically, it's just a higher quality head sculpt and the wool hair to compete with the third-party companies that have been nipping at Hot Toys' heels when it comes to quality.
Yeah, like the Anakin is a brand new. The outfit is brand new. Like it's a completely different costume on that figure. But if they had made a regular edition alongside it, probably would have used some of that at least. But yeah, that's basically the gist of what an artisan is. It's them trying to compete with some of these other companies like InArt, like Jazz Inc. that are doing things even, in most cases to a better level than Hot Toys is accomplishing.
Right.
And they're trying to kind of offer something that feels a little more premium like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine them releasing 2 editions going, but this one has like 5 extra stitches in every seam to make it premium. It's like, I mean, I get, listen, that rooted hair on that Anakin looked incredible.
Yeah.
So I can certainly see that being a premium over it, but I can't imagine anything else is different besides that. So it just sounds like it's a DX for all intents and purposes, that they're calling a different brand name.
It's weird because I don't even know if would it even qualify as a DX? Because okay, you get separate rolling eyeballs. That's pretty much standard with any Hot Toys these days with the sculpted head. That's pretty standard, like 90% of the time. She comes with the choker. Okay, that's not a big deal. She comes with a pistol. She comes with 3.5 sets of extra hands. She has the rocket launcher. She's got the pole, and then the little bag that I think you can put one of the weapons in. So I mean,
so she doesn't come with an extra head sculpt.
No.
So is she more or less expensive than the Catwoman we just saw that came with 2 head sculpts, obviously has the wool and rooted hair? Is there anything Hot Toys is doing different with this that justifies the cost compared to what that Catwoman release is getting?
In my opinion, not really. Other than the fact that it has the wool implantation hair, which apparently costs a lot more than whatever they normally do. This is $425, and there isn't pricing on Catwoman yet. But if what they said previously is to be believed, it should be around $350 price range. So,
and a limited edition.
Think that comes. I'm trying to remember how many head sculpts that comes with exactly. I don't remember. Is it 2? It might be 2. Might be 1.
Is that the same one with the articulated jaw that's kind of making its way around stories right now? Like they're taking out her jaw and putting it back in.
So she has a swappable jaw?
No.
Yeah, there was one. It looked like she had dentures on. They were.
Oh.
Her whole face was movable.
Yeah, this one's not. That would be cool if it was, because then you could at least pose her differently. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this really needed an extra head sculpt at the very least.
Isn't this the same issue they had with the original release, where people were going that it's such an extreme facial pose to be locked into with it? Like you really just locked into one display option for all intents and purposes with the expression?
It's a very similar expression. And that original Suicide Squad Harley Quinn is amazing. I have that one and I love it. It's she looks incredible, but it is a little bit weird to be locked into that one pose, that one expression. But at the same time, it's sometimes you look around the shelves and they all kind of look very neutral. So it's like, if it fits, if it makes sense for that character, is it okay for them to do that? I'm okay with it on that figure. On this being an artisan, this being a more premium, expensive figure, I really think it needed to have an extra head sculpt.
I know. I love when it captures the personality of a character. You know, I look at some of the attempts that Hot Toys had with like Ray at the beginning, where they just that has like that sort of middle distance gaze where it's just not
Yeah.
focused on anything, and you're like, well, this could have been a little bit more alive than you made this.
Right. She definitely looks like she's on something. Yeah, that original one.
And that Hot Toys seems to have had problems with a lot of their Black Widow releases were like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody ever did a Luke right? A Mark Hamill head sculpt correct?
Isn't that Return of the Jedi one pretty good, Victoria?
It's pretty good. The one that's actually, I think their best one. I would
His
say
head is
the Mandalorian one's actually really good. Like initially, when they put promotional pictures, they kind of made it seem like he was going to look like the Mandalorian Luke, you know, which looks a little weird in at the end of season 2. But the figure itself doesn't look 100% like that. It actually looks really good. I think it's the best. I think it's the best one so far, but is it 100%? Probably not.
And also, obviously, lighting plays a huge factor
Yep.
in a lot of these.
Absolutely. And that's the case a lot of the time with Hot Toys is you'll see it online, you'll see promotional images or you'll see blogger photos, and it just looks different from one to the other. But when you get it in hand, then you can like properly judge. And unfortunately, it's not the kind of thing you can just go to Target and see for yourself before you buy it. But yeah, when they were attending like Comic-Con or, you know, events like that, you know, you could see them in person. That was awesome, but they don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, that walk through the sideshow booth.
Yeah. But anyway, so this figure, okay, so Sideshow there's really not a rhyme or reason to how they approach certain releases. Usually with artisans, what they have been doing lately is making a queue. You go on a few minutes before the item goes live and you go into the queue and it says, okay, there's this number of people ahead of you, and you see the bar increase and up until it's your turn to go in. This time that didn't happen. It was just like an open, like it was normal. Like the website was just, oh, click on pre-order. But once you did that, everybody was trying to jump on there at the same time, and it slowed the website down so much that it basically crashed, and you had to keep refreshing and waiting for it to come back online. And then when it did, it was super painfully slow. And then for whatever reason, like 10 minutes into this process, 15 minutes into this process, they did throw up that queue that they normally have. But by then it was already, I think for most people, it was sold out. Now, this is a piece that I personally did want. So I was there and I was able to secure my pre-order, thankfully. But yeah, it was a very weird rollout, and I don't know exactly what went wrong. I don't know if they meant to have the queue go on earlier and it just didn't work, or if they saw that there were so many issues and then they said, oh, let's throw the queue up, but it was like kind of too late. It was just a really weird rollout, and there were a lot of frustrated people, as is often the case with these
This has been the year. Well, this has been the year for order issues.
I know. It's ridiculous.
You would think this many years into online ordering, there would have been a standardized way of doing this that is not always a massive rush and mess.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the queue system is probably, you know, it's worked fairly well the last few times. That doesn't mean it's perfect, but I think it's worked better than just like a free-for-all kind of thing. And I really feel like something just went wrong. Like they wanted to get that queue up earlier, but it just didn't happen like in time, because why would it go up 10 minutes after? You know, it just seems kind of weird to me, but I don't know. Those are questions.
But you got it. But you got it. So it's not like a Star Speeder story where it was just a colossal mess and you wound up having to go 15 different ways to try and find it. At least you got this. And you wound up getting that Anakin too.
I did. I got on the wait list for Anakin, and thankfully, like I was able to get in on it. I didn't get it the first day, but I got on the wait list, and then the wait list converted, so I was able to get it that way.
Sometimes online ordering is as smooth as butter, and sometimes it's not. Like this last Motu Creations figure that just shipped, that everybody's getting in the mail. I think it was at Hella something. The one that was just at the Mattel Creations website last week. That was on there for 2 days. Yet the Star Speeder 3000 was on there for like 2 seconds and nobody can get one. So who knows if
Right.
it's, who knows what
Yeah.
happened.
And then a whole bunch of them show up in Florida for
Yeah.
people to just walk in and grab.
It was just there. I was just in the park at Star Traders and I called, I'm sorry, I didn't call, but I had somebody call Florida and there was still one left. And as of just like 3 days ago, it was just sitting there.
Did you get it? Did you pick one up
Well, I didn't get, well, I got the one in,
in
I got one.
Florida? Oh, you got
No.
one. Did you get D23? So you must have walked
Yes.
in.
Yeah. I got it. I got it. I got it from a D23.
I
It,
had a friend who was at D23 that was just like, I'm walking through the shop. Do you want me to pick you up one
yeah.
while I'm here? And I was like, at that moment, because I had planned I was going to do the order the next day. I was like, you know what? It would cost so much in shipping cross country for the size of that thing that it is not in any way feasible to have you pick it up in person.
Mhm.
I knew that was a difficult decision. It was emotionally painful to say that in that moment. I wish I had told him, you know what? Hey, you want to make a good investment right now? Pick up a couple of those. You're going to be doing real good in a day. Yeah, no, he's like, there's like 50 of them on a wall here. Do you want one? So, and then I had a whole journey with mine the next day with the lost shipment and having to get it through eventually a different friend because of that lost shipment. And
I think I saw your story. Did you talk about this somewhere on another stream?
I think I mentioned it on the Black Series Cantina.
Okay.
Mike Cases, I might have mentioned it.
Or maybe a lot of people had similar stories.
I think there were a lot of similar stories of
Yeah.
of emotional journeys with the Star Speeder.
Did yours come from Walt Disney World eventually when the wave of them hit over there?
No, I had a friend who came out to the East Coast with some, and I was able to get it at cost. So thankfully,
that's great.
And after a lot of back and forth, I did get a refund on the lost shipment as well.
Good.
So that all worked out fine. But until that moment when you're going, I had the thing, I had the idea of the thing, I had that excitement, and then no. But in hand, I'm hoping that. Have you had any electronics issues with either of yours yet?
Yeah, I have.
You hadn't.
I have to use full batteries, fresh batteries every time I use it. I feel like after a couple shows, it just
is the USB power not working on it?
I don't even know if that thing's even working at all. If the base lights up, but the rest of it doesn't. I mean, I'm not even sure. Okay, it has the two here, right?
Right.
Here's driver's side, passenger side, driver's side, passenger side, if there was such a thing in this thing. On the left side, I guess on the driver's side, is that the power to the base only, or does that go to? It came with.
Yeah, there should be two cables. One goes from your however you're charging the base, whether you're using like a wall outlet or you're using like a computer. One goes to the base, and then one goes from the base to the Star Speeder.
To the underside of the Star Speeder, you'll see a plug.
Yes, and I have it connected right here. There's a cord going to the front, I guess, passenger side. But I don't know if that's supposed to be on this side or that side.
I think there's only one plug outlet on the bottom of the Star Speeder.
Yes, but I don't know which side that goes onto in the base.
I don't know if it matters.
I don't think it matters. I think it's just a pass through as far as the power. So whichever one you want to be the one that plugs in. I know a lot of people had the screens just stop working.
Yeah, mine the sound comes on all the time, but sometimes the screen doesn't work. But if I have to put new batteries, which is kind of the reason why I was hoping to exchange this one if it ever comes out at Disneyland.
Yeah, have we heard what Disney is doing, like for those people that are having these issues?
The people I've talked to have said whenever they've tried, it's like, well, we don't have them, so we can refund you, and you send it back, but there's nothing to replace it with as far as they're concerned stock wise. Because once that stock is transferred out of Shop Disney into the parks, it's now park stock. So it's not something Shop Disney can dip into.
Yeah. So what happened? So I have a different friend that works at Disney. And he told me, he gave me a little bit of information on that. So they only had 500 they put online that day. And that's why nobody's able to get, they only put 500 up. And you guys saw the queues. If you were trying to get in there right at 8:00, there were like 30,000 people like trying to get onto the site. The rest went to Florida. So basically it was, they had the 3,000 and they had a large amount of those at D23. From what I heard, they didn't actually sell that many at D23. And then they put 500 online, and whatever didn't sell at D23 went straight to Florida, and that's where they ended up. And they did finally sell out, I think, last week.
Because there was no limit in the parks as well, right?
There was a limit, I think, of like 5? I'll have to go back and look, but there was a limit on them.
But I'm assuming that a lot of people are going to, when they eventually do the 1,000 version, cannibalize it for parts to fix the electronics on the 3,000.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues on mine, knock on wood, but to be fair, I've only used the screen, like watch the video, like when I first got it. I do have it plugged in to the wall. Like I have the base plugged in, so I haven't used batteries. I've just been using like wall power.
Does it work with wall power?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I've only turned the vehicle on itself a few times just to kind of like turn the lights on and just have it on the shelf just so I can like see it. But yeah, I haven't had any issues yet. If I actually were to go and try to watch the video right now, would there be an issue? I'm not sure. I kind of don't want to even.
Yeah, part of you doesn't want to try.
Yeah, I don't. It'll break your heart.
At least I got to see it once if it doesn't work. And it was awesome. It's one of the coolest things in my collection. I don't think it's quite a HasLab caliber item, but the fact that it has the electronics and the LCD.
What do you think doesn't make it a HasLab level?
I would say the overall quality of the product itself, not in terms of the electronics, because HasLab doesn't even go there.
Right.
But just in terms of the overall vehicle itself, like the caliber of the plastic, like when you knock on it, it's a little hollow.
If I can get some light on
there's minor like QC things on it, like with the paint, just things like that you wouldn't see, or that I haven't seen at least.
And they certainly didn't do any weathering whatsoever.
Exactly.
No, none at all.
And which makes me wish they were a lot easier to get, because doing a weathering pass on this thing would probably make it look incredible, just even a wash.
It looks more like a big toy. Instead of whereas a HasLab looks like a model that happens to be a toy.
It still looks light years better than the one that came out a few years ago.
It totally does.
Yes.
Did you open yours, Ken?
I did. I could not open that thing. And special mention also to the inclusion of a loose version of Rex in addition to the carded.
Yes.
Which was a complete. I didn't know that was the case.
And the weathering
when opening it, so to see that, which
awesome.
With the Ghost, I guess eventually at some point coming out to people, it would have been nice if the loose figures were an option on HasLabs.
Yeah. Now that we've seen that Disney can do that, there's no reason that Hasbro cannot. They just won't, because they want to sell more HasLabs. And, I get it, but from a consumer standpoint, you're already spending $400 or $500 on a HasLab. Like, that should just be an automatic, even if it's not thrown in for free, that should be an add-on sort of option.
Yeah. Offer for the price of, I'm sure people, even for 3 figures, would buy the extra bumper pack. Or the overcharge they did for that Sabine and Chopper set.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's it's not over yet at Disneyland.
Yeah, it's going to come back. They're going to reuse that. Star Speeder. For sure.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that
no, I mean
1000's got to come out.
these have to be sitting.
You think they're coming to Galaxy's Edge and Disneyland as well?
It wouldn't be Galaxy's Edge. It would be Star Traders.
Star
It
Traders.
would only be Star
Oh,
Traders.
right, Tomorrowland, right? Star Traders.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And
Star Trader.
I
Character
really,
shop.
I did hear positive things from somebody who.
I mean, it'd be nice. It's a shame that it caused so much stress and strain on what should have been a joyous release to turn it
Yeah.
into a massive ball of stress.
Like I know I've said it before on this show, so I'm saying the same thing and repeating myself to the audience, but the way I think they should have done this, given the demand for it, is they should have made it exclusive to D23 and that's it. But then offer it as an open order for everybody else that wanted it. Maybe you have to wait 6 months, a year to get it. Fine. But that would have been like a much less stressful way to go about it. An open order, not limited. You get in on the order or you don't. And when the time comes, it gets sent to you.
And if they really want to make a D23 special, the carded version of Rex was only available with
Sure,
the
yeah.
D23 version.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
That would have been fine with me. If I missed out on that and didn't have to deal with the stress and know that other people can get this thing, then by all means, yeah, make it so the carded thing is only available as the special bonus that they got.
Yeah. What's interesting is, I mean, this it's such a great piece. It really is. When you're not having issues with it and you weren't having to pay like $1,000 for it, it's a great piece. But really, nobody wins with something like this when there are all those issues and when it's made so difficult to obtain. I get what they're doing. They're trying to create that demand, right? But nobody really wins in the end when the rollout is the way that it was, and then there are issues like that. So I hope they don't do this again. I hope next time they do it, they take a different approach. And yeah.
Life's too short. Can these companies just try and minimize stress for everybody, for them as well? Because it's stressful for them to pull off all of this and to make it as difficult to get an exclusive.
I'm still pretty optimistic that this is going to hit the parks again at Disneyland now, Anaheim. So I'm trying to check every couple of days just to show up just to go into the park in and out really fast. Of course, it's kind of a pain because I got the park and I have to go through security and all that. It's not like going to Target and hitting the toy section in the back and coming back out to your car. It's quite a logistical feat to have to park at Disney, take a tram, regardless if you work there or not. The cast
Well, then they
members
make you park further away.
No, cast member trams are faster. We can get into the park in like less than 10 minutes because our tram goes directly to our security point, and then we, it goes right to it. It isn't, you don't have to go through the lines and all that. But even then, I when I go into the park as a guest, I can't utilize those. But if I happen to be working, then I'm going to go. I'll shop a little before or after.
I'm surprised that they never kept the Galaxy's Edge Millennium Falcon in production.
Oh my God, that thing was
as a thing
that should have been a park exclusive,
a constant centerpiece of Galaxy's Edge. That should be forever available at the park.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree.
That baffles me as just Disney, who loves their merch,
and they could have
big
upped
ticket item merch. That thing is not just a hey, let's keep that in perpetual production.
Yeah, and that was a real.
About that, but yeah.
How it went to Target. I think it was supposed to go to the parks and then it ended up going to Target.
Well, that's what. Yeah, well, there was a weird thing that happened a few years ago that affected release on that. What was your theory, Victoria?
I feel like they're just trying to not carry Hasbro stuff in the parks, at least for Star Wars. Like they do have the Black Series, right? And they have a little bit of TVC, but as we know, they're doing their own droids. That's something we're going to talk about in just a minute. They're doing their own droids. And that Millennium Falcon is a Hasbro product. The last Star Speeder was a Hasbro product with many figures made by Hasbro to use alongside it, and they're great. I love the old Star Speeder and those figures, but I feel like they're trying to move away from that to just kind of do their own thing, because I think they make more money that way when it's not
Oh yeah,
Hasbro.
but it's kind of it's a hit of quality though. I mean, if you take a look at I have the sand crawler somewhere around here. The Disney Park sand crawler, awesome toy. It's got an obnoxious white spray like it went through snow instead of sand all over it. But if you open it up and play with it, it's got great electronics, just like the Star Speeder. It had buttons that went on, 3 or 4 different spots where you can press buttons and lights came up. Have you
Yeah.
seen it, Ken? It's really
Yeah.
amazing. It's really
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really nice. Um, uh, but much like the Star Speeder 3000, it isn't quite Hasbro quality. It's just a little notch, a little lower below it. Um, and who knows where they're making these things? I mean, they can go straight to their own factories, and they have no shortage of designers who could pump out a 3D model and send it to a 3D print, and then get this thing into production as fast as they do. And
Yeah,
they do that.
I think we're going to see a Disney made 3/4 scale Millennium Falcon, and then within the next few years, I really do.
Which
A
seems like a
Gamora what?
waste when they don't have to do all that tooling.
Yeah.
They just have to pull the lever on starting up that production again. Like I can see it with all new stuff from this point out. And if that thing didn't already exist as a thing that they could get back out there. Yeah, I'm curious what compromise, because the other thing that Disney does lean into with a lot of this, that Hasbro, for obvious reasons of aging fan base, is leaned away from, is Disney is still keen on making sure their stuff has playability if it's sold in the parks,
Mhm.
because they look at them more as family purchases for those toy side of things.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you're not going to see the weathering. You don't see a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
that is making this a display thing. So I wouldn't even be surprised if for the standard release that we saw of the 1000, they might even drop the display base. They might drop the electronics in it and just
Yeah.
make it a straight play set.
Put a window box in it and make it visible.
Yeah, or just like they did the swap out panels with the original one, do some variation of that. We just have the different show scenes, but it's a play set for
Right.
kids and geared towards that, and it cuts their costs down. And so this winds up being a deluxe one-off.
Yeah, even like the prop replicas, like they're doing their own helmets, they're doing their own lightsabers, and these are completely separate of what Hasbro is doing. And they're not quite up to, I mean, the helmets, I only have the Kylo Ren helmet. I think it's great, but the as far as the Disney made stuff, but the lightsabers, like there's definitely a disparity between Hasbro's lightsabers and the ones that Disney's making. So yeah, they're definitely not, they're sacrificing a few things, I think, in the name of cost, and what you're saying, like making it more like just accessible.
And a lot of stuff at the parks are impulse buys.
Yep.
For people that are on vacation, that see a thing in the moment, can hold it in their hands and go, yes, I want this as a souvenir of this moment I was here. And they're not looking at it as is this actually better than the Hasbro version that I can get at Target or I can get at Amazon?
Well, another thing that Disney is really caught up on is that there's a lot of people Disney bounding, which is when people dress up as the characters and they go into the parks. Either they're trying to take pictures in front of the Falcon, or they just want to be there, they just want to be a princess for the day and walk around, or whatever it is. So there's a lot of accessories that they sell in Galaxy's Edge. And you can get the Kylo Ren belt, you can get full everything, the full Imperial's officer outfit. It's made so that you can buy accessories for yourself and just walk around the park and enjoy a blue milk, or walk around Galaxy's Edge.
But I thought the Disney bounding stuff for adults was that it has to look like civilian clothes you'd wear outside, but it can be evocative of the character, but it can't look close enough to where other guests can confuse you for a walk around character in the park. Whereas like in Harry Potter land, you can walk around, you walk around in your full robes and whatever, and you look like you're right out of the movie. Disney bounding line of how close it is to a costume.
Well, they don't sell the complete costume for one. So if you're doing a top, you just have your own pants on, or if you're doing the Jedi top, they don't sell Jedi pants, so you're wearing sometimes blue jeans and
But
just
they're not
regular
letting an adult
sneakers.
walk around in a Jedi robe.
They are now.
Are they now?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just because of Oogie Boogie's, the event that's going on right now. That's over on the California Adventure Live. It's just basically one big Halloween party right now at California Adventure. They're calling it Oogie Boogie's. It's called Oogie Boogie's Bash.
Yeah.
But not just that. I mean, up until before that, before the Oogie Boogie Bash started, there's people still walking around with their saber
But they're
hilts on
also
their
doing.
hip.
I'm really interested in this because I've also noticed the disparity that there is between rules at Disneyland and Disney World.
But they
And
can't wear.
there is a difference on a lot of these things because Disneyland is a locals park, really, and they're more dependent on repeat business than Disney World is. Disney World is a come out of town vacation destination. Disneyland, a large part of that is locals who have annual passes who are coming in because they want to go have lunch or they want to run into Galaxy's Edge to go do a ride and grab the new merch. Yeah. So it has a lot laxer rules on a lot of things and its own culture than Disney World does. So I'm because I know they were very tight on the boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be Belle walking around where they're gonna confuse you with the Belle who's walking around taking pictures with the kids. It's not gonna do anything like that.
Yeah. Or Ewan McGregor walking around in a Jedi robe. No, you can't him out.
I had Hayden Christensen at one of he was in my restaurant. I talked to him for a little bit. He was cool. He was sitting he was not in my section, but he was like one over and it was talk to him. His daughter had a little Yoda, a Grogu baby Yoda on her shoulder. And he loves Star Wars. That's great.
That's cool.
Well, he's of that generation. He would have grown up with the original.
But yeah, there's a lot of people who dress up as much as they could, but with the Disney bounty, they're not exact. There isn't like a Maleficent. Somebody dresses Maleficent with a makeup just walking around all the Disney parks. I mean,
well, that's because they made them leave the Raven in the car.
Yeah.
Have you done any bounding, Victoria, in the park?
No. I'm very
functional. I don't need extra layers of clothing added on top. I don't need to worry about my costume at the
Go
park.
as a Jedi.
Yes. I really want my robe getting caught up in one of the rides.
Yeah, no. I mean, when I've during the Halloween events, I've gone a couple of times when they used to do it at Disneyland, the Halloween party. I went a couple of times, a long time ago. And yeah, sometimes I would do a Star Wars costume for that, but I've never done bounding or,
Oh, it's fun.
Even if it's me building a lightsaber, as soon as I get out, I'll maybe turn it on once, take a picture, and then I put it away. Right. So I'm just not really I don't like to draw attention, I guess.
So if you were to do bounding, what characters would you two do?
I'd probably do something like Anakin or Han Solo.
Which version?
Clone Wars Anakin.
And which Han?
A New Hope. No, Bespin.
I have a closet full of cosplay crap, just right there. I have a lot of little accessories, so it's usually a Sith or a Sith adjacent type character. Or I'll just I have some kind of some green fatigues that I'll just put on some of those flight giant aviator type anime goggles and a belt with a saber and some brown boots or something, and just walk around, look like your basic rebel spy or kind of like a bounty hunter type, just walking around Galaxy's Edge. And the rest of the park too, nobody cares. Everybody knows that if you're semi dressed up at Disney, just getting in the spirit of things.
And I'd make it easy and do Jedi Bob from Rebuild the Galaxy.
There we go. It's funny. I saw a couple older dudes dressed as Jedi Knights. Not saying you're older. I'm probably as old as you.
Oh, geez.
I'm a Gen X. I'm a Gen Xer all the way through and through. But I saw them just.
I'm in my 20s. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there we go. But they were both sitting down having a meal, and I just want hello there, and they totally look like it. And I feel like the Jedi costume. It doesn't matter how old you get, you can wear that forever.
I know, but it's California or Florida heat in a Jedi robe.
Yeah.
Does not sound fun in any
Even
way,
in the
shape,
winter.
fashion, or form. Yeah, no, it's hard pass.
What state are you in, if you don't mind me?
I'm in North Carolina, so.
Oh, cool. Right on.
But
right on.
with business trips, I used to have the Premier Pass, so I would do a lot of days at Land and World. So I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I've been there numerous times.
I had to go to the East Coast on work, not Disney work. But
I will take Disneyland over Disney World any day of the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm really upset about, Derek, is the red car trolleys going away.
Oh my God, I know.
Do they have a closing date on that?
I haven't heard yet. I haven't read yet.
I've only heard early next year, but I don't know precisely when.
It'll just be one of those. Everyone arrives at the park with no fanfare and find out it's been taken out the night before.
I guess
there.
So.
What are they gonna do with the train tracks?
Probably pave over them, I would guess.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it was California Adventure when it first opened, was not great. That's no secret. They were going to do Westcott eventually. That was going to be the theme park they were going to build in the 90s. That was the plan. And then, things at Euro Disney weren't going so well. So they pulled back on that budget and they ended up with California Adventure. Right. But then they realized right away there was a problem. So they started within a few years planning for, some changes, and they did some really big changes. They reopened in 2012 with Cars Land, with Buena Vista Street. They redid Paradise Pier to like it was more themed with Midway Mania, right? Toy Story Midway Mania, and then all the other attractions there got like classic Disney characters.
We lost Superstar Limo though. That was the best of all.
Yeah, now it's Monsters, right? But they did a really good job fixing a lot of what they fixed. And I think for me, peak DCA was like 2012 to like 2015, and then it started including more Marvel, which I love Marvel, but it started changing. And that Buena Vista Street, like I loved the idea. It was a very vague, rough idea, but each area of the park, the intent was a different decade in Walt Disney's life when they did the redo, that is. And Buena Vista Street, it's like those red cars, they're not only historical like in terms of like Walt Disney, they're historical in terms of like SoCal, like LA, the original red cars that were removed eventually. And that's what these ones at California Adventure were meant to do. They meant to evoke that time period, the 1930s, 40s, when the red car was a big part of Los Angeles. And now it's like, because they don't have the trolley barns going away, they're just gonna, instead of moving it somewhere else, which you might think would be the right thing to do, they're just gonna get rid of it. And
they're sending them upstate to go live with the animals from the petting zoo.
Maybe, but it's like, when you go to Main Street, you have the omnibus, you have the horse-drawn carriage, you have the other car that, all of that is just kinetic energy meant to make it feel lived in, make it feel like a real place. And the one thing that Buena Vista Street has is those trolley cars, right? And I took a ride on it last time I was there, last week, and had a conversation with the operators, and they were like, yeah, we've been doing this for most of this crew on this trolley had been here for 6 years, and
Yeah.
we've never had an incident. There's never been anybody run over or hit. Like, and they explained to me, as soon as they said these things don't stop on a dime, they stop on a nickel. Like, if we need to stop it, it'll stop right away. And they were really cool. They let me like pull a horn and like
Right on.
hum thing, and it was really cool. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, I was personally a little disappointed with other areas I went to in Disneyland and saw things just weren't working, because that's not what I'm accustomed to with Disneyland. Like, usually the show is like, you go back to like Walt Disney's like mantra and everything, like, everything needs to be like perfect. And I was just really disappointed to see all the things that were out of order. But yeah, it's just one of those like declining by degrees sort of things where, yeah, they're going to
It's
save
a
money
loss
by
of sitting
removing it.
spaces.
Hmm?
Because it's a loss of sitting spaces, which you see a lot more in Florida as well, where you have just a quiet place if you want to get away and sit down for a little bit in some shade and have a little experience.
Yeah.
Which is losing the people mover at Disneyland was like
yeah.
that. And like that's why that is still so popular in Florida, is it's a nice little beat to sit down, still feel like you're doing something in the park, but it is the most passive, scenic thing you can do to get a beautiful just overview and ride through the park. And they've slowly eliminated a lot of that stuff, right down to eliminating benches and seating areas. Anything that lets you linger, which is what it used to be, also a vital component of the Disney parks, was just, hey, this is an atmosphere to sit and enjoy. And however you want to enjoy it, because we've already got your money. This is the Walt sitting in a park watching his kid on the merry-go-round and going, I wish I had something to do. Just quiet enjoyment. And that's why sightlines matter. That's why atmosphere matter. That's why having that just place to sit and enjoy the thing that was there. And slowly but surely, there are people that come into organizations that don't have an emotional attachment to thing, or don't have an appreciation of that, and just see numbers and decide, hey, we can make a little more money if we did this. Or what if we took out all these individual shops and just knocked through all the walls and made one big store that sold the same thing that all the other stores sold in the park? Why do we have unique merch at these places? Let's just make sure everything sells all the same merch, because it's easier to do and cheaper, and that's more cost effective. So it's a steady erosion of a lot of that uniqueness, and I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm not someone who's going to rant and rave about it, because at the end of the day, that's what it is, and there are better ways to expend energy in this life than that. But I can still be disappointed and sad and happy that I experienced the enjoyable times of sitting and watching ducks just parade around little
They're still
bench
there.
area. Yeah. So those little beats that I think they would love to get rid of all those, the Omnimover, and there are factions that would love to get rid of the trains, because those take a lot of money to upkeep.
Yep, the submarines. I think the submarines are the most expensive vehicle at Disneyland.
But then the thing what happens when you take those things away is that is a location that gives somebody something to do at a moment. Once you lose that, then those crowds just dump into a park where you're suddenly overloading everything else in the park by that degree, because those people would have been riding the train, or riding the people mover, or sitting on an omnibus, or riding the trolley car. But now they don't have those options, and they don't have those means of conveyance if it's just simple transport in the park. So then you have clogged walkways, and you have rides that are now overflowing, because you're limiting the options of what people can do in any given moment within the park. And they can't just sit down because you took out all the benches, and there aren't enough tables over Jolly Holiday to eat a meal. But
there's still some spots in DCA where you can go, like mostly around where the pier is. There's still not quite a carousel, but there's kind kind of right next to Incredicoaster. There's kind of a big round area where you can sit, and uh,
Yeah.
there's a couple fountains where you can kind of sit around at the end of Buena Vista Street and in front of World of Color. There's a couple. There isn't there's more places to sit at DCA than there is at Disneyland. Disneyland
Yeah.
kind of just
Yeah,
has
and
the main hub.
that's a problem is they have removed a lot of benches at Disneyland. When I was there last week, I went to what is it? Edelweiss Snacks, the stand where you can buy like hot dogs and stuff. And I got something to eat there. And they have a seating area that's behind it. It used to be the old the motorboat dock. Like you could sit there, but it was all full. So I'm like, all right. So then I walked over to where the Fantasyland Theater is, and I said, I'm gonna sit over here. That was full. I walked all the way back, and I ended up back in Tomorrowland, and I sat outside of the burger restaurant there, and I ended up I had to go to 3 places just to find a seat to have lunch. It was just like pretty wild.
Yeah. I think it's the quiet spaces that are slowly being eliminated, and you also have it's a finite amount of space in Anaheim. No matter what, they don't have the acreage that they have in Florida. But a lot of it is social engineering of removing those benches for just not wanting people to sit.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like they want you either in line for a ride by paying Lightning Lane, or they want you in a restaurant or a shop buying stuff. But yeah, it's the saddest part for me is just like seeing like the history removed, right? Because like for me, that's a big part of it. I mean, I even haven't done anything within a little bit, but I had the Discoveryland podcast, which is the history of Disneyland, the original park.
Oh, cool.
So like the history is really important to me, especially anything that like Walt Disney like had an influence on, like Tom Sawyer Island there in Frontierland. Like Walt Disney personally designed that entire island, like the caverns in there, the tunnels. He designed that island 100%. When they built Star Wars Land, they shrunk that island. They shrunk the river by like a quarter of the size, and then they built. I love Star Wars, right? Obviously, but I don't love that they did away with huge elements of the original Frontierland.
They haven't touched Jungle Cruise yet, at least.
Not yet, but now, well, Jungle Cruise used to be bigger too until they put Indiana Jones. But now at Disney World, they're removing the entire Rivers of America to put a Cars ride, and that's just like, wow.
Is that where Jungle Cruise is in Disney World?
No, that's where their Tom Sawyer Island is. Like they have their own Rivers of America, but they're removing that completely to put the Cars ride there.
I used to be a Jungle Cruise skipper.
Tell us a joke.
Disneyland. Yeah, I was. And there's a lot of that jungle hasn't changed. There's I think there's an orange tree in the jungle that's still there. That's not really visible, but there's one tree that you passed that was the original tree. And I believe from what Skipper Legends, some different Skipper Legends people have told me, Walt didn't want that tree moved, so it stayed there, and they built the jungle river around it. And there's wild animals in that jungle too, by the way. There's cats, and there's a whole ecosystem right there.
Oh yeah. There's an original tree when you walk in. It's like right between it's right alongside Jungle Cruise. I think it's the one you're talking about next to Indiana Jones, and that's like when it was the Dominguez like orchard.
Yeah.
And then the leprechaun, his house is right on the other side of that, like on the tree, like on the other side of the walkway.
I'm as a longtime fan of the parks. I'm fine with things going away or being updated if there is an appreciation, reverence, and the same amount of care put into whatever replaces it, or updates. Because I think there is something to be said against not allowing things to stagnate or stay beyond, for nostalgia's purposes, beyond when things could be made better and improved. Like I think a lot of what they've done on the dark rides are very tasteful and wonderful improvements and plussing of those dark rides in Fantasyland, and were necessary to make the thing, to freshen it up. But it didn't tear it out. It didn't fully remove it. It's just like, you know what? Hey, we could just leave this static the way it is, but here's some things we can do nowadays to make it a little bit like we can add projections. We can spruce this thing up and make it. And I think as long as a care and consideration goes in, then we should avoid letting things in the park stagnate. But that also means having the upkeep in the park and making sure that things are painted when they start deteriorating, and basic upkeep, which ebbs and flows in the parks depending on where they think they can get away with letting those slide for budgetary reasons.
Well,
Right. Yeah.
Particularly when you're
maybe
raising the price by as much as they've raised the price, and they're pricing the average person out of enjoying the parks.
Yeah. I mean, even things that are not being utilized at all, lights that aren't working and paint peeling aside, like Fantasyland Theater is not, I don't think, being used for anything right now. The Golden Horseshoe isn't being used for anything right now. And those are places where you can add like entertainment. You can add music like there used to be in the past when they had the Billy Hill and the Hillbillies.
But that's all
they used to
budget.
do Theater, the one that's right next to the castle.
Yeah.
Is that the Fantasy? Yeah.
Fantasy Fair.
But if you want to
Yeah,
see
they-
Billy Hill and the Hillbillies, are they still over at Knott's Berry Farm?
I don't know if they're still there. They were there.
But that's
No, I
all
remember
budget. I mean, it's easy cost cutting for them to go, you know what? No more live entertainment. No
I missed the
more
Fab.
atmosphere. No more, none of that.
Victoria, do you remember the Fab Four when they used the Beatles tribute band when they used to play in Tomorrowland?
What year was that roughly?
2008, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, around there. Maybe a little earlier.
No, I don't remember that. I didn't
So
move to
after the
California
50th?
until I didn't move here until 2008. But so no, that would have been right before, like around that time frame that I came here. But
I think it was right around the time of the 50th.
okay.
I was working there during the 50th. I don't know if the video is online somewhere, but they had a whole bunch of cast members stand in front of the castle. ABC Channel 7 ABC, which is a local affiliate, had a crane looking down on the crowd, and everybody had to flip a sign over and welcome Disneyland's 50th birthday.
My buddy
right
was the
around that
mayor
year.
of Main Street
Who was
for
what?
the 50th. My buddy was the mayor of Main Street for the 50th.
Oh no! Oh nice. I was working there during the 50th.
Oh
What
yeah.
was it,
He also was the genie in the Aladdin show at the Hyperion for years.
Another place
I
not
might
being
have
used
seen him.
anymore.
You probably, I'm sure you did.
I did.
Mark
I did a show at-
Gagliardi. Mark Gagliardi. He was the mayor of Main Street. Genie. He did a lot of the atmosphere stuff in Frontierland, along with the Super Ego folks like Mark McConville and Matt Gorley.
Okay, cool.
And Mark is also one of the main drinkers, reciters on Drunk History. If anyone's familiar with that show, Mark is regularly featured on that. Just on a CBS show recently. Mark, big Disney. And he was just at D23 because he was one of the people doing Rocket for that.
Oh, cool.
That Rocket Raccoon experience that they had, that interactive experience.
I wonder if I do know somebody who does. Okay. Well, I don't. But I do know somebody who does one of the voices. I might have been working there at the time where he was working at the Hyperion Theater. I did a show.
Sure he was there for many years. Because it was
we took
obviously there were a
over
bunch of genies, they rotated. So, but yes.
Yeah, there was some really great ones. Oh,
In
it was
fact, if
incredible.
anyone's interested in that period, I did a bit of a chat with Mark and two of the other genies talking about the show and the behind the scenes. So if you find it a bit of a chat with me and the genies from the Aladdin show. So if anyone wants some inside behind the scenes talk about working in that theater and doing that show.
I also performed in the Hyperion Theater for a show that Disney cast members put together for charity called the Flashback Show. We performed at Hyperion at the same time that the Aladdin show was doing their performances. So I think we kicked them out for two of those nights, and then we did.
And Mark
our
still
we did our
resents
show.
it to this day.
Yeah, probably. But it was
What's
pretty
in
cool.
the Hyperion now? Because wasn't Rogers the musical there for what, last
was that
summer?
briefly?
Or the summer before?
I don't know
It was
anymore.
there. Yeah, there's nothing in there right now. That's what it was for a little
now
while.
it's just sitting empty again.
Another thing that's just sitting empty. Yeah, and they're charging like all what they're charging now, right? They should be providing like those entertainment spaces too. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would almost say that it's like the way they used to justify the price increases a few years back was like, oh, we're giving you more than we ever
Sure.
had before. And that's fine and all, but that's not the case anymore. And even when that was the case, it's like you can't actually do all that stuff in one day, right? So it's like, I don't know. I feel like a few things need to. I know back in the 80s and 90s, the park had like quite a bit of a decline too, and it became very retail oriented, like it's starting to become now. But yeah, that
Well, they
it
have the
got better,
Disneyland.
but it needs to happen again.
Well, you heard of the Disneyland Forward that they're doing. They're planning and they're expanding the park. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, the Disneyland Forward thing. I mean, that's great and all, but I really feel like I'd rather them focus on fixing what they already have before they move on to
Yeah.
making other things.
Right. And the problem that Disney faces again and again is they start out with really blue sky
Mhm.
plans.
Yeah.
And the realization of that is often the compromise of what people eventually get. I mean, look, the Avengers land is unfinished, and
Yeah.
they're just now getting the ride that it should have had at opening. You look at how much of Galaxy's Edge was compromised that was supposed to be there in the original plan of Galaxy's Edge. The fact that they even rushed the opening of that to where you didn't have Rise of the Resistance when that opened. And they rushed it. And you compare it to, I mean, Universal, the fact that they go all in
Yeah.
and build the biggest and best version. Like they're running rings right now as far as the realization of a lot of these lands around Disney, and Disney has felt for too long that they could coast on reputation and brand. And you get a lot of I mean, we've had decades of an unfinished Indiana Jones ride.
Yeah, we
with
just
with
had
the
it finished
saddest little dark
recently.
section in it, with some air and projections of a rat. So it's little moments like that where it sort of grounds you again. It's like, oh, come on, Disney, please. We know you're capable, and the Imagineers are amazing, and they're designing wonderful stuff because we see it overseas in what they're getting in the parks when they're not hindered
I
by
know.
these budget constraints.
All the stuff that they did in Japan earlier this year, like just.
Or look at Shanghai. Look at
Yeah.
what is happening in those parks and the innovation that's just not making it over to the U.S. Or in compromised form when it makes it over. You got to spend money to make money, Disney, and part of that is also on the audience that keeps going and giving the money when things are not what they should be, commensurate with what is being charged. And I'm not saying that in an angry way. It's just a disappointed way, because we can also apply all of these conversations to recent toy company decisions for a lot of different companies. And, it's a trend of compromise that has happened more and more. And it's an attrition. And everyone has to make their own personal decision when that attrition has gone far enough to where they've lost you as a patron to whatever they're doing. And for some people it might be when weathering on a figure doesn't exist anymore, or you don't feel it's the price they're charging is commensurate with what you're getting. Everyone makes their own decisions, and Disney, I always have hope, because anything could change. Anything could get better on that front and different.
Yeah.
So I don't give up hope on any of these things, whether it be a theme park or an action figure. You'll never know what's around the corner. And one week you might be disappointed figure, and another week you get from the same company the best figure you've ever seen, and you love it dearly. So I don't know where any of this was going, but I've said it all.
I wish I could. I wish I could comment a little more freely, but a lot of what you said is shared by a lot of the guests who come into the parks.
Yes, and I certainly speak as a patron who always appreciates everything that the cast members do in every level in the parks, and what they and you all, I will include you, but I'm saying it, you're not saying it, so you're all clear. and how many attendees of the park don't appreciate how incredible the cast members are and what they do. I always made it a point at the end of the day, because I always was a park closer. Like
Cool.
security would have to, in their final sweep, I'd be walking just in front of them because I wanted to get every moment. But I would always stop in City Hall and leave comment cards
Awesome.
for cast members, because I know also how important that is, and that those do make a difference. And it's a couple of minutes out of my long day that I had a good day. And if I had cast members that I felt, and yeah, go leave a nice comment card
I just
for,
left one.
for Jerry on the Jungle Cruise, who was a great skipper
Yeah.
and provided a great time. Because in a job that often does not have the a proper amount of compensation for what is expected of them throughout the day and what cast members provide, if you can do that as an attendee in the park, that little gesture that helps them out in a performance review or whatever happens through the day, or just a little like, hey, this guest loved what you did on that thing.
Yeah.
Take the time to do it.
All right. Well, good stuff. I love that tangent we went on. I need to jump back because I know we've been going for a little while and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'm going to jump back into, we'll go through these pretty quickly. But we skipped over one Hot Toys thing, which is kind of a big one. And that is the Savage press that has been put up on the site. This was seen at an event earlier this week, but Sideshow has confirmed that it is going to be available. So this is your 1/6 scale Savage press, 12 inches. He's probably going to be bigger than 12 inches because he's Savage press, right? He's huge. But yeah, I love seeing when companies are doing like focusing on like Clone Wars or prequel stuff. And
that's cool.
This is a really cool one. I mean, especially when you consider that like Hasbro hasn't properly done him in any scale. The fact that Hot Toys is like, hey, we're gonna do him. We're gonna give you guys Savage press if you collect this big scale, is really awesome. So I love seeing that.
A curious timing, because didn't we just get the leaks that Hasbro is doing a Black Series figure for Savage?
According to the leaks, yes.
According to the leaks, there might be an incredible amount of serendipity that it seems it's Savage Opress's time to shine in multiple formats.
That is true. So that is really cool to see. Hopefully he makes his way to TVC.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, what else do we got here? Well, I think that covers it for 1/6 scale. But there are a couple new things on DisneyStore.com, and I think coming to the Disney parks. We were talking about the droids earlier. And the products that Disney makes. So there's a couple of things in time for the holidays now. There is R4 TR3, which is obviously sounds like tree. And it's an R4 unit that looks like a Christmas tree. So it went up on the site, but then the listing got pulled because I think it wasn't supposed to go up right away when it did. So, if you're collecting these holiday droids that they've been doing for some time, then that's exactly what this is here. There's also the advent calendar that went up as well. So in addition to that,
I think I saw a Boss Bounty last week.
Yeah, it's the same one it's not the same one, but they did this last year. They did an advent calendar that looked like a Jawa sandcrawler and came with a bunch of droids. But this is a brand new one for 2024. So
cool.
I didn't buy the last one, but it had some fun droids in there. But there's another one that's going to be out now, so I guess it did pretty well.
Should we release those images as a holiday card set?
Yep.
I'm curious if those are going to be in Downtown Disney. If you don't have a pass into the park, if anybody's watching, you could go into Downtown Disney. You could just park in there, eat something, get your parking validated, and you'd be able to shop two stores. There's the main World of Disney. That's the big store that Ken was talking about a little bit earlier. That has everything all in one place. And then there's the smaller Star Wars themed store, which escapes my
I would assume a holiday release like
trading.
this that they would, like maybe the Droid Factory exclusive might not be there, but I would think the Advent calendar would be
There is
available.
tons of droids at the trading outpost at the end of downtown Disney.
Ultimately, Disney just wants your money, so
yeah. Like, you don't have to come to the parks. Just come to just park your car and walk 1,000 yards and buy some droids.
Or walk up to a stranger who's going into the park for the day and say, "Hey, while you're in there, can you pick this up for me? I'll be having lunch at Earl of Sandwich," which is in a trailer right now, isn't it? During the renovations,
it is. Yeah. Oh no, there's 2 locations. I thought there's still one that's right next to the opening of California Adventure. It's on the right hand side. And then there is a smaller, what is that? Like a
quick
lunch
to go
truck size
food truck kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have. When I did go into World of Disney last week. I'm pretty sure they had the R5 zombie, the zombie version.
Yeah.
I think they had that there. So I would assume maybe they'd have the Christmas one too eventually.
Oh yeah.
So the only stuff you're really not going to see is like the Galaxy's Edge exclusive stuff, where they really want you to get into the park for that.
Right.
Like you're not going to build a lightsaber in World of Disney.
Or a droid. The build droid, the build
Disney.
lightsaber, they're all in there. Inside the park, that is. But yeah, everything else you can get. Like the Mandalorian figure pack or the droid figure pack, the Ahsoka figure pack, all those, you don't even have to go into the parks to get those things. So if you know anybody, if anybody's watching and they want these packs and they can't get them online, if they have friends and family who are around Orange County, just send them over there and
just send a line to Victoria. She'll pick it up for you.
Yeah.
It's fine. She makes a run over there once a week. It's all good.
I wish it was once a week. It's like once every 3 months. But yeah, when I lived in Orange County, I was there like at least every 2 weeks. I was going for, a lot of the time just by myself, but I was going. One more item to look at, and this one's actually really cool. And this is a Disney Parks item here. Even StarWars.com was talking about it, which is where this website here is linked. So they've been doing their Galactic Archive series, which includes the Kylo Ren helmet, which is amazing. Some of the Clone Trooper helmets. Well, now they're doing a C-3PO head. I don't think it's a wearable helmet. It's just a head, but it looks really cool from what I see in these pictures. What they're not showing here, unless maybe I just need to hit the arrow button. I really hope there's an image. There it is. Cool. You can take the gold plating off and you can expose his episode 1 appearance, which is awesome.
That's rad.
Does it have any voice electronics or is it just the eyes?
That's a good question. Let's see what it says here. The touch-activated electronic model also speaks more than 20 of 3PO's classic and beloved phrases from the Star Wars saga.
I see a Chewbacca cosplayer doing a whole Bespin thing with that, throwing it in the backpack.
I want this. I really want this. I need to get this.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
This is rad. Yeah, I mean, I have a whole section like where I have like some of the Black Series helmets, and I have that Kylo Ren helmet, but like this would totally go there.
Did you say this is going to be on Shop Disney as well, or is it Parks exclusive?
I mean, so the Kylo Ren helmet was a D23 exclusive, but they did end up putting it on the website, and they did end up carrying it at the parks.
It was at the parks forever. I was there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then they have the Clone Trooper helmets there at the parks as well, and on the website. At least one of them is. I don't know if the Commander Gree is on the website yet, but I assume this will be on the website too, which would be nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool piece.
Well, maybe part of the Black Friday sale or
I
Cyber
don't know
Monday.
about that, but it is cool. It is really cool. This is a neat thing. I really want to get it. Last thing before we get into new acquisitions is I want to mention that we are 154 days without a HasLab Ghost update. What is going on with the Ghost? I know I talked about it during Cantina Coffee Hour last week. And the last thing we saw was for May the 4th. They showed us the packaging when they did their stream on May the 3rd. They showed us the packaging and, very nice box. Awesome. but there aren't any other updates about the Ghost. It was supposed to come out fall of 2024, which is now, and there are no indications as to whether or not that's happening or it's been delayed or what's going on. So once again, this is just me saying, hey, Hasbro, we already paid for this thing. This thing was what, $400, and I think the least we can expect is some communication. They were really good about communicating things with the Razor Crest, with the sail barge, giving us updates, seeing painted stuff. But with this, it's just cricket. So, I mean, I'm inclined to think there's some sort of setback.
We did
Maybe
get the
they don't
Steve
wanna-
Evans post on Instagram that felt like a hostage video.
Yeah, I know he posted some little tease earlier today. And it sounds like maybe they will update us for their 10/27 event on the 27th of October, which is still weeks away. I want to know now, what is going on with the Ghost? Is it still coming this fall? Is it being delayed? I don't need to know the exact reason. I just want some sort of communication about, what to expect as somebody that's already paid for it.
And I would also hope, as someone who also is eagerly waiting for it, some of the comments on that post that when Steve put it up were pretty nasty. I don't think this is anything to get quite as nasty as people are getting about it. Like, we can politely ask, like, hey, it'd be really nice if we got this, but being as shouty and just downright mean and awful as some of those comments were is not helping anything. And also, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Dragonfly also got delayed too with the JoJo Classified crowd.
Like, the only update that I guess people have seen is an imminent Giant Man.
Yeah, that's coming
that's
fast.
Close to getting, but also, I mean,
it seems like that was an easy tooling.
The tooling and execution on that is not quite the same as what the Ghost is.
Yeah,
which is incredibly detailed with multiple compartments and pieces within it and assembly issues, and who knows.
Yeah.
Again, and here's the thing, and you people can't go after the team either for this, because they're not responsible for corporate communication, which is what this boils down to. Who knows what level? I'm sure they're just as frustrated, because they would love people to see it. And we also don't know what's happening staffing wise at Hasbro with the cutbacks they had. Maybe the person who would have been updating us, they don't have that position anymore. And so someone who's already overloaded is going, oh, by the way, are you updating the Ghost stuff? So I don't blame them for what is probably still a short-staffed and overworked situation.
Might have a strike soon with the East Coast and the longshoremen.
Well, that's already been resolved for the short term. That got announced that they're extending. They have a tentative contract, and the strike has ended today, Friday. Yeah. So it's now pushed off for resolution till January, I think. Is hopefully to ratify the contract.
January 15th. Yeah.
This stuff is on boats. So
that part, hopefully, we don't have to worry about any of that. I think the opposite problem we're having with Hasbro with too much stuff arriving right now at the same time.
It's one of those things, right? Like, whatever transportation they're using from overseas, it's like everything for like the next 4 months is put on the same boat, so it all processes at the same time, which is, it's when you pre-order a lot of things, it makes it kind of frustrating, but it's understandable too. But yeah, I mean, we need something, a picture, just something, right? Like, just some sort of update, some sort of communication. And, we don't know what's causing the delay or what, who's responsible for it, but there needs to be, they've done Hasbro
picture of the Sabine and Chopper that everyone has in their hands now.
It was supposed
in
to
the
come,
playset.
Right. Like, they did Hasbro PulseCon, right? Just a few weeks back. Like, that would have been the opportunity to throw a very quick update in there. Right.
Or just show it, like, cart the model out and have it in the background. Like, hey, look, there's the Ghost.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten the Ghost. Just something. There's ways of doing it that are very, very simple that I think they could be done. But whatever. 154 days without a Ghost update. We're gonna keep an eye on this as always, and we will see what happens in the future.
It's also been 365 days without a Ghost. So
It'll be over a year.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting. I just kind of want a little bit of
Yeah, it'd be nice to know
information.
what the status is.
Just going to do a quick run here through the comments before we get into our very last segment. Mary says, I hope that the Savaja press means that Asajj Ventress is coming. That would be amazing to see from Hot Toys. I would love to see Asajj Ventress. I would love to see Asajj Ventress in DVC. So, yes, more Ventress, please.
Or DVC.
Pink Obi-Wan says, Pony Wars is my jam. Mouse 23 says they're now planning to ship Dragonfly at the end of the month, maybe.
Okay.
And that the ghost has ghosted us. Indeed. The ghost has ghosted us. All right, we're going to get into our very last segment here, which is brand new acquisitions, things that we've added to our collections recently. In my case, since last week when I was last on here. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Good. New acquisitions.
All right. So in the chat, you guys, please let me know what you've added to your collections, and I will read them out at the very end of the segment. But yeah, does either one of you, Ken or Derek, want to go first and tell us about what you recently added to your collections? Volunteers?
Derek, it's all on you.
Sure. I have let's see here. I'll go from lesser to more. Well, the Ross exclusives continue. So I got a 9 I know I got 2 of them. I don't keep anything in the package. I'm totally an opener, but what I'm going to do with this, and this one's going to go on my celebration scene, which is not this. This is my vintage celebration scene. Everybody's in there. But on that wall over there, that's my mixed kind of everything wall. That's going to have the Power of the Force 2, Power of the Jedi, Saga, Legacy, everything else where there was a pilot to an Ewok to everything in between. I'm going to throw another one over there. So one's going to be in the celebration scene, and I'm going to put the other one maybe in the background, or I might head swap them. I mean, if anything, $3.99. I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. I did the same thing with all those Jabba's figures that was coming out at Ross.
I picked up one to maybe do a Pelimoto.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. I got these. Now, when you bought these, it didn't come with it didn't come with this, as you guys probably know. This is the first one of 2 for the Jedi Council sets that they made. But the first 2 didn't come with the base. You had to wait for the final 4, which were also numbered 1 through 4 for some weird reason. They came out a couple years later to get the plate where you can make the perfect circle of Jedi Council around there. I already have an episode 1 Jedi Council over there sitting on one of the shelves. But what I'm working on is an episode 2 and an episode 3. Not Jedi Council, but scenes, like little mini dioramas of where this set appeared. So I'm doing episode 2, I'm doing a training of Yoda with the younglings, and episode 3 I'm doing Anakin with the younglings. So I'm going to have those on 2 different shelves. And then Speaking of Disney, I got this at the park. Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't get this at the park. I got this at the employee store. I got this at Company D. But I don't know if these are available in the park anymore. Company D is a little weird. For those of you who do not know what Company D is, it's an employee store that is located in Anaheim, but you have to show your ID badge, whether it's the Disney one or if it's operating participant if you work for one of the companies that operates on the Disneyland property. But these were at that store. I don't know if they got more in the park or not, but a lot of cool things end up there. I don't collect anything past this scale. Like, this is the only scale that I do because I world build everything. But I couldn't say no to this. I mean, it does. Here, it's got a. Oh, this thing doesn't work. Okay, but he had on the back.
First, Peter.
Yeah, he does. He had some really cool lines. There were 4 of these just a few days ago when I went with a friend. I let a friend in because you could scan your badge and you can let I think up to 3 people in at a time, unless they're doing the friends and family promotion where you can just hand a digital flyer to somebody and then they can come and go into Company D without you. But I was there with a friend a couple days ago, and they had 4 of these, and today I went back just to get the last one. I told him at the time, I said, I shouldn't, because I don't know where to put this. But it's so cool. Like, how did you not?
Yeah, it's a battle droid.
Yeah, and it has an interchangeable. It has a 3PO. It works with the other tall 3PO. You can put his head on there. And it's funny, the blaster looks just like the 3 3/4 blaster. I mean, it looks just like it. It's crazy. It's almost as if they scanned the figure and they blew him up to this. And he looks just like here. I shouldn't go there and reach for it. I don't want to. But it
I remember getting
like
the 60th anniversary R2D2 Build-A-Figure, the Droid Factory release in 2015 for $5 a pop. I got a whole box of them from Company D.
Oh,
at the
awesome!
time.
Heck yeah! Oh my goodness, I got a great Company D story. During the after COVID, when everything was shut down, everything was in warehouses, right? I mean, that was all over the world. I picked up about 50 clones and remnant stormtroopers that just came in and out of Company D, and they were super cheap. They were like $5 or $6 each. Maybe even less than that.
I have so much dinnerware from the Polynesian that I picked up at Florida's company's employee
Awesome.
store.
That's cool. Oh, there's so much great stuff, man. I try to collect Jungle Cruise stuff and Haunted Mansion. Jungle Cruise because that's in my heart. That was one of the rides that I worked at years ago. I always once a skipper, always a skipper. What people always say. And then I'll collect Haunted Mansion stuff.
Any of the dated pins, like for holidays that have passed that are very specifically dated, like tax day 2021.
Oh yeah.
Once that's passed, all that goes into the company store, so you could buy all of those dated pins that are past date. So if you want to pick up, like all the marathon stuff after specific dated marathons are gone, mugs. Oh yeah, and Florida is great because you have all of the stuff that's
you got a lot, I'm sure,
taken out of the resort. So hotel, like here's some desks. Do you want to buy desks? Do you want to buy room chairs? Do you want to buy? Yeah, all that stuff is incredible. What you can find in there.
The Sandcrawlers hit Company D. I bought.
So
a few of
it's
those.
like I said, be kind to your cast members.
Thank you. I saw a guest walking around with the very sane on her T-shirt, and I stopped and I thanked her. She was at a restaurant. I said, "Thank you for reminding." That was very nice.
Yeah, it's remarkable folks. You all are.
Thank you.
So, Ken, what do you got?
Let's see. Well, where's the loose stuff? So, canceled my Pulse pre-order because this was in GameStop.
Nice.
Showed up. So, Black Series Ahsoka. The Thrawn showed up.
Cool.
So nice. Got the Thrawn. The Imperial Armored Trooper showed up. Let's see, what do I have that was new stuff? Oh, the just showed up at Walmart and also was mispriced for $16.
Amazing.
Oh wow.
I love when that happens.
So definitely took advantage of that while I could. I mentioned that came. The Walmart 2-pack came. Got an Ollie's purchase. For $20.
What is that?
What were they? Were these like $75? What was the ridiculous price on these?
They were like 60 or something. Yeah.
For the carbonized, and they're just showing up at Ollie's now for $20. So. For that price, I would not have in any way, shape, fashion, or form gotten them at the original price. Got the Blurg.
Cool.
Which I think is going to be Queel on there on my display. a bunch of the TVC, and I've already got them bagged. The whole Acolyte wave. All of those came in out of the blue all of a sudden. What else do we got? I'll show just because it's here. I got Marvel Legends.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Got the Phoenix figure. Another nice thing from Ollie's. If anyone's a fan of Avatar, some of the best action
Oh.
figures are showing up there, including the super expensive deluxe multi-pack, which is, I think, a $75 multi-pack with a bunch of exclusive bits. $25.
Oh, nice.
So that showed up. And then the last thing,
When you said Avatar, my mind went to the other Avatar.
I know. I knew it would. And then vintage thing I picked up at a Second and Charles,
What? Wow.
That's a blast from the past.
which I love because where else can we get that
Right.
as a figure release? And what a weird novelty way to release it. What is a very definite creature that you should have in your collection.
Totally.
I'm curious there were two other of these released?
The Ewok glider.
The Complete Galaxy, the glider, and what was the other one? But this is the only one that had a creature release with it, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think so.
But a great sculpt. I mean, it's a great version of that half second we saw in the film. And then did you get your Walmart pin?
Oh, cool.
The free pin they offered for their little pre-order thing around May the 4th?
Nope.
That just
I did
arrived. They had that website if you could show that you did a pre-order around the 4th or on the 4th or some ridiculous thing.
Huh.
And I was like, yeah, sure. That's never going to come, but yeah, I'll sign up for it. But yeah,
Cool.
It came. So that's I think that's everything.
Nice.
Sure. Let's say that's everything.
Very cool. So then I guess I'm up. All right. So I got Cobb Banth. I got him at Walmart earlier this week. I don't have him with me. Because I forgot to bring him from the other room. He's in the other room. I haven't opened him yet. I got the Acolyte wave for TVC from Entertainment Earth, the whole wave. I already put him in their figure shield cases. I did get, I know I mentioned it last week that I received the Sabine and Chopper pack, but I have since opened them. And this Sabine is killer. She's got to be one of the best of the year.
Is that head sculpt different?
It is different.
Because that definitely looks a lot better than the head sculpt we got at our initial release.
It looks way better than the original release. And I mean, I know it makes sense for it to look different, but yeah, she looks so much better.
But yeah, the sculpt is wholly different than the one we got.
Yeah, it just looks so much. This is a better look. I don't really like the short haired look from Ahsoka. So I opened her. I opened a Chopper. So
cool.
Chopper's cool. I'm still going to repeat it. Disney did this better when they released their own Chopper. It's a better figure than this, which is kind of sad and kind of unusual, but it is true. This one's not horrible. It's just not quite as good as the Disney version. I also opened up my blurg, or two of my blurgs. I bought two, and I did open both up. So on this one, I have Mando on him, or her, because I think they were. I think in the Mandalorian, Quill said they were female. But yeah, it's an awesome. I love the articulated jaw. It's just a really cool piece. And Mando, I mean, he looks a little funny sitting on there, but it works. And I agree, Ken. I think I'm going to put Quill on the other one. Okay,
we're gonna work so well on it.
This is an oldie but a goodie. This is something I already had, but I bought it in 2005, and I've just bought it again, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But I got the early bird kit.
Ooh.
Not the Kenner one. This is the the one Hasbro made in 2005. But the reason I bought it again is because I had lost the little stands that come with it. It actually comes with some little stands so that you could set your figures up on it like that.
Oh, wow.
But now that they've been doing retro collection and they've released all those original
Oh, yeah.
12 Kenner Star Wars figures, I wanted to get another one so I could set those figures up on this to recreate that, classic Kenner sort of display using retro collection figures. I don't have all the actual vintage ones. After that, I was trying to catch up. These are figures that had just fallen by the wayside, but I did want to pick them up. So I did. So I went back and got some Indiana Jones Adventure series. I only had the first wave, but I went ahead and picked up the Dial of Destiny Indy. I also got Helena from the same film. I got the Temple of Doom Indy. And I also got Short Round. And now I can finally build this artifact right here from Temple of Doom, which I'm excited to do.
Did you get them discounted?
I did. They were each on pretty decent discount. I think Helena was like $10. The others were like 15.
That entire wave hit Ollie's for $10 a piece.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, that's really good. We don't have Ollie's here, but if we did, I would definitely be there. My parents have Ollie's. I think my mom's watching.
Very dangerous thing to have an Ollie's.
I know not this mythical land of Ollie's that everyone speaks of.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. You don't want that.
Yeah, I went in March and I went to visit my family, and my parents have. I think my mom's still watching. Hi, Mom. So she does have an Ollie's there. The last thing, I know you guys will know what this is, and this is probably my favorite thing. And this was from earlier this year. I wasn't able to go and it was out, so I had to eBay it. But I'm glad to have it. So I got this guy.
Awesome. Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah, so this is the Hatbox Ghost from the Haunted Mansion, my favorite all-time ride. And his head lights up, and then the bucket lights up. So yeah, this is a popcorn bucket, but it's really nicely done.
That's a popcorn. Where's the popcorn?
Did you ever?
No, not popcorn. Sorry, my bad. It's a sipper.
It's a sipper. Okay.
It's a sipper. Yeah.
They had the popcorn bucket. Remember for the 50th anniversary of that ride? Did you ever get those? It was the 3 ghosts.
I don't have those.
Okay. But
Haunted Mansion is my favorite Disneyland attraction, so I had to have that. I had to wait to get it on eBay, wait for a good deal, and I did, and it was a decent deal. Still more expensive than buying it in the parks, but not bad. And I am in the process of organizing my guest bedroom into the Haunted Mansion. That's like the theme of the bedroom. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to go in there along with a few other things that I have.
Were there any other pieces of merch that you want that you have your eye on for the mansion room?
I have most of like the figures and things like that. There's not a ton of those. I have most of those. I would like to get the stretching portraits. I think would be pretty cool. I do have some of the artwork that you could buy at the park, like the on demand from a long time, from like a decade ago, that I never framed. So I'm going to get that framed and get it on display in there.
Remember how fun the on demand was? And the on demand music, the CD printer too.
I looked at it the other day when I was there, and I couldn't believe how much the prices have increased since 10 years ago on that artwork.
I have something to add to your Haunted Mansion room. It's the 3 Hatbox, or it's the 3 the Hitchhiking Ghost, or the 3 ghosts, and there were tons of them at Company D, and behind Company D there's something called Mater's Marketplace, which is just it's not, you can't sign anybody in over there. You just have to go in yourself with your own ID, but it's everything from the park that's sometimes it's damaged and they let you buy it. But once in a while you'll find things like if they do a ride refurbishment, parts of that ride will end up in there. Like there was some oak barrels that came out of, I think it was Indiana Jones when they did the refurbishment over there. There's some stuff that came out of Pirates of the Caribbean. You were able to get some of the treasure chests, but they had those the 3 ghosts for super cheap.
Oh,
So
wow.
just later, if you give me a PO box, I'll send them to you.
Oh, cool.
Have you ever
Thanks,
gotten
Derek.
one of the honorary caretaker cards as well that they give out in Florida?
I have not.
Have you
Victoria?
seen those?
Mm-mm.
That's cool. Nice.
And on the back, it has the.
That's cool.
Nice.
I might have some extra, Victoria. If I do, I'll send you one.
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, good stuff, you guys. I'm going to run through the chat and see what people have been adding to their collections lately. So let's see here. Pico B1 says that he got the Jazzwares Walmart Skiff 2-pack. Cool. Adam got the Black Series Captain Enoch and Night Trooper set and a custom Lothcat statue from Chapters of Chester. Nice. Mary got the Hot Toys Anakin, finally arrived this week. Very nice, Mary. I'm glad you finally got it. I got mine like a month ago, I want to say, but I haven't opened it, so I need to do that. I need to check them out, make sure everything's good there. Copy John says, I received my Hot Toys Batmobile last week, and I don't need anything else for a while. Victoria, you know what I mean? I do know what you mean. Congrats on that. It's a great acquisition. Trevor picked up regular Cara Dune to finally get rid of the Carbon Ice figure plus Bib Fortuna. Let's see here. Rogue Killer says, got my Blurg and Mando with Rogue and Destiny 2-pack. Nice. Milky Way Skywalker, 2 Blurgs, 2 more Blurgs. Stan Solo, Dagobah training Luke, and 6 retro Tarkins. 6 Tarkins. Oh my goodness. Are you going to customize those? Milky Way Skywalker. That's what it sounds like. Dave says that he got the Star Speeder, the X-Wing Pilot 4-pack, and the Jedi Master Saw Wave. Very nice.
Dave, does yours work still? Your Star Speeder?
Let's hope so. Dodgson, as of this week, I bought another Pocket of Air, some flies as well, hoping the Saturday I will strike gold at the flea market. I hope so.
I hope he gets all the fleas that he's looking for.
Yes.
Yes. I think this is responding to you, Ken. So Galaxy, Luke, Sarlacc, Vader Hibernation Chamber, Yoda, Dagobah, and Ewok Glider. Pico B1 also got the Sabine and Blurg figures. Yeah, I think that's all the acquisitions this week. So yeah, I think we got to everybody there. You guys, thank you so much. This has been fun. This has been lively. We've gone off onto some Disney tangents, which I'm always down for. But this has been a very long chat. So, thank you for sticking with me. And thanks to everybody in the chat, especially I know some of you guys have been here the entire time. Thank you for hanging out with us on your Friday night. And yeah, you guys, this was a blast. Thank you both for coming on here.
Awesome.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, we need to talk about that Ian Malcolm figure I'm so disappointed in. The
Hammond
which
collection.
One?
Oh, that Hammond collection. I got it at Ollie's for $5. I don't feel so bad, but is that just made out of like eraser rubber?
Those
is that the one with the weird torch?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I know. I beat a dead horse over those figures. I've said it so many times. They're terrible. Mattel needs to really get with it on those.
It's so embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing.
But he's going to look great sitting in the cantina next year, so it's fine.
He's got knees. Yeah, put him in there.
Yeah, that's my whole goal with the cantina now. I'm just going to fill it out with all kinds of 3 3/4 scale figures from all.
Nice.
Cantina is for everyone. Everyone can show up at the cantina.
Cantinas and everyone at this cantina, at least anybody is welcome. Anybody and everyone. Just be cool, be real.
I'm gonna have Transformers sitting there. Everyone is gonna be at the cantina.
I don't know if you can see behind, but I have like a little cantina going on here. I was sitting in front of it the whole time. But here's my cantina. But I throw Fortnite figure. I threw a Fortnite figure just because he's got bendable knees right there. So I'll throw anybody. If you have knees, I'll put you in here or the Star Speeder. I don't care.
Nice. Yeah. So I know I have you guys' Instagrams linked down in the description, but Derek, can you tell us the chat where they can go to look you up on the internet?
I am youtube.com/toy binging. I just kind of started the channel a little bit, and I'm hoping to do more Star Wars and toy stuff, and I'm working on I'm trying to recreate a little diorama of the Rise of the Resistance attraction, because that's the only way I could display some of my Rise of Skywalker and the Episode 8 stuff, like the big BB-8 playset. If you open up that big BB-8 playset, it looks exactly like the inside of Rise of Resistance. It's great. And if you buy those little pods, the little red uh, pods that you escape in the ride, which
Yes, I
by the
have
way
one.
also hit Company D for like $20, you could just park those in there, and it makes a nice little Rise of the Resistance just 3 3/4 display.
That's a
So,
great point. That's I'm
but
gonna
yeah,
have to do that. I'm gonna have to do that now that you
Your
mentioned
Hutch
it.
and I'm
figure's
also
got to live somewhere.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, but that's what I just started a new channel, and that's what it is. It's Toy Vision on YouTube, and
Awesome. So
I did review the Star Speeder. I took it home immediately on that Sunday, and I just kind of freewheeled it, and I don't know how to edit or anything, so it was just one horrible long take of it was more
I
of a
watched it,
reaction.
but I watched it before I got mine, and yeah, I was it was the first one that I had seen, and I actually used your image in the when I was talking about it during social hour. I said, "Oh, comes from Toy Binging," and I used the image to show like, "Hey, there's a carded
Awesome.
version that comes with this thing. Why can't Hasbro do that?" So
That
yeah, it
reaction
was a
was
good video.
100%. Like I had no idea the thing was in there, so that I feel like that was more of a reaction video more than an unboxing.
I'm sure there
But
was a meeting at Hasbro the next day.
I
Oh, geez, do you
can't
see what
believe
they did?
Yeah, seriously. Like we saw and we'll raise you one uncarded, one baggied figured. Well, that's
Yeah.
your move, Hasbro. We'll see what happens.
And there was somebody in middle management going, "I'm not on the internet. What are they saying? Is it everything
Yeah.
fine? Are they fine? They're not asking about it, are they?"
What's the social media impressions on the back figure? Oh, that's what they're saying.
What are they saying on MySpace?
Yeah.
Um, so Ken, where can we go up to look you up online?
YouTube.com/Ken Plume has all the shows like Force 5, which Victoria has been a guest on, and just a few things which I just launched, which is like Force 5 but not Star Wars specific, where I have guests on to share their 6 most cherished items from their collection, and we sort of talk about their life, and it's a nice bit of a chat, which is a show I used to do as well, which is
Awesome.
500 plus episodes of interviews with a whole bunch of names that you'll surely know. So there's that, and I'm on Blue Sky is the social media platform besides Instagram. TikTok, a lot of videos if you want to see my Muppet thoughts and clips.
Cool.
Those are getting posted there, and some rarities on things as well. So yeah, be swell if people subscribed to the YouTube or any of those things. That'd be nice. I don't know. Sure.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, yeah, everybody go and check them both out. Again, Instagrams are linked down in the bottom. And you guys, real quick, we're going to take a screenshot that way I can use it tomorrow. So if you want to go ahead and smile at countdown 1, 2, 3. Lovely. And yeah, you guys, it's been a blast. Thanks again for coming on to Social Hour. And we'll get you guys on again in the future because it's been a lot of fun.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And thank
to
you.
everyone else. Yeah, of course. And to everyone else, thank you for tuning in. If you've been with us the whole almost 3 hours. Thank you for being here with us. And I will be back next week. I got 2 guests coming on next week as well. We got the 1/6 scale man returning, and we also got Susan, formerly of Sideshow. We're going to talk about some 6 scale talk next week, amongst other things. So please tune in for that. Reminder that Cantina Chatter podcast is back next week. The Vintage Collection podcast is back next week. And Last Figure Standing live stream is on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. No matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy, be well, be safe. May the force be with you. We will see you next time. Derek and Ken, hang on for just a second. And everyone else, I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.